Mike's. Good evening. Today is March 11th, 2024. This is the Genoa Township Zoning Commission. Time is 7 p.m. We're in the Genoa Township Hall. Agenda items this evening, zoning case 2023-05, Romanelli GW LLC, second meeting, zoning case 2024-1, TGB Holdings, first meeting, and potential zoning resolution amendment discussion. Staff present this evening, Susan Dorsch, Director of Deputy Director of Zoning, no?
I'm just a
Director of Deputy Zoning Director? Inspector? What in the?
deputy
Zoning Inspector. What the, okay. Paul Benson, Deputy Zoning Director.
She's important.
Susan, can you call roll, please?
Paul gave me a promotion.
A promotion, all of a sudden, yes. Roll.
I'm not used to doing this. I'm gonna mess up all the names.
We have tags.
I have no idea how to pronounce your name. Mr. Bernier. Mr. Carter.
Here.
Ms. Walsh.
Present.
Mr. Welch.
Here.
And Mr. Left.
Here. Also present, Kurt Sears and Ryan Wester. Our statement of policy, this meeting may be recorded. Such recordings are public record, may be posted online, and could be subject to review in court. As is the adopted policy of the Zoning Commission, all applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. The audience may then be granted an opportunity to comment, followed by the applicant's response to questions from the commission. The chairperson may limit repetitive debate and reserves the following rights: to limit comments to items on the agenda, to limit public comment to 5 minutes per person, to restrict the number of times a member of the public is permitted to speak, and to enact any other reasonable ad hoc protocols and measures necessary to maintain a fair, safe, and orderly meeting. This policy is adopted by the commission to provide for the respectful, constructive, and efficient discussion of business scheduled for consideration, and to allow for proper due process as required by law. First item up, minutes from the last, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the February 12th, 2024 minutes as presented.
I second the motion.
Questions, comments? Ms. Dorsch?
How do you pronounce it again?
Bernard.
Huh?
Bernard is fine.
Bernard?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr.
Huh? Walsh, right?
Welch.
Welch, sorry.
Yes.
Miss Walsh
Yes.
and Mr. Left.
Yes, motion passes, accepted.
They don't make me do that for the BZAs.
Time is now 7:03 p.m. Romanelli GW LLC requesting approval of a final development plan to construct an 11,700 square foot office building and a 5,327 square foot daycare building on 2.276 acres located along North Gateway on an unaddressed lot immediately northeast of 7107 North Gateway, PIN 31734201010017, Westerville, Ohio 43082. Currently zoned Planned Industrial District, PID, also known as Northgate Office, zoning case number 2023-05. Knowing what our request was from them, they have a request to continue. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move to continue the public hearing for the subject final development plan application known as Northgate Office Zoning Commission Case Number 2023-05 until April 8th at 7 p.m. in the Genoa Township Hall. Additional or revised materials will be due to the Genoa Township Development and Zoning Department by, I can't remember, do they need a week or 2 weeks?
Do we have the dates?
So that would be Monday, March 25th, be 2 weeks.
Yes.
So revised materials would be due to the Development and Zoning Department by March 25th at 4 p.m.
I second the motion.
Roll.
Mr. Burnett? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Miss Welch? Sorry, Walsh?
Yes.
And Mr. Left.
Yes.
I do know your names.
All right. Time is now 7:05 p.m. TGB Holdings LLC requesting approval of a final development plan amendment for a 1,360 square foot addition on 2.46 acres at 6030 Chandler Court, PIN 31731305015001, a restaurant currently zoned Planned Industrial District, PID, also known as Giamarco's, zoning case number 2024-01. Anybody speaking in behalf, you do not have to stand, but you do have to raise your hand. Raise your right hand and stand if you're going to be speaking on today. You can do that too. Members of the public speaking, anybody gonna get up? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Be seated. Legal notice for this meeting.
Careful. Sorry, no, I'm sorry, his chair rolled back, and I want to make sure he found it.
Okay. Legal notice for this meeting was printed and published on February 24th, 2024 in the Delaware Gazette and posted at the Genoa Township Hall on February 14th, 2024. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners within 500 feet of the subject property was also made. The following were marked as exhibits A through G. A, the legal notice. B, the affidavit of advertisement. C, the sign-in sheet. D, application and plans originally received January 31st, 2024. E, the response to comments and revised drawing received March 7th, 2024. F, the staff technical review dated March 4th, 2024 for March 11th meeting. G, the staff memo dated March 4th, 2024 for March 11th meeting. And H, all public comments received between January 31st, 2024 and March 11th of 2024. Ms. Dorsch, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the proposed final development plan amendment to allow for the construction of an approximately 1,360 square foot addition at the northwest corner of the existing restaurant at 6030 Chandler Court in the Planned Industrial District. The restaurant is a permitted use in this zoning district per section 1304.02M of the Genoa Township Zoning Resolution. A cover letter submitted with the application notes the addition will increase public seating capacity by about 50 seats. The Giamarco restaurant was originally located at 7049 State Route 3, current home of Yabo Tacos. The original Giamarco's final development plan for the standalone restaurant at 6030 Chandler Court was approved by the Genoa Township Board of Trustees on August the 26th, 2009. Final plan amendment for a net 25 space parking lot expansion was approved in 2011. A final development plan amendment to allow for the construction of a 157 square foot cooler and a 680 square foot dining room expansion was approved by the Zoning Commission as a minor amendment on June 6, 2016. The dining room expansion has not been built to date, so that approval is likely now void. The final development plan amendment to revise the orientation of a previously approved cooler and to authorize and revise the construction and expansion of the parking lot on the western portion of the track was approved as a minor amendment on March 13th, 2017. Both of those improvements have been constructed. A final development plan amendment to allow for the construction of a covered outdoor performance stage and live outdoor music during certain business hours was approved as a minor amendment on April 11th, 2022. Elevation drawings have been included as part of the application. A new iteration of the development text was submitted. It was not clear if that was to be intended to replace the existing development text or if it was a just supplement. We did receive in the letter that we received dated March 6th, that we received on March the 7th. It did say that it was supposed to be supplementary. The square footage on the plan drawings did not match what was stated in the cover letter. The new letter that we received on dated March 6th, did clarify that the addition is 1,360 square feet. The drawings of existing features did not appear to match the existing conditions shown on the aerial imagery or previously approved drawings. We did receive a new revised drawing on March 7th. The proposed addition would not encroach into the previously divergence that was granted to the front yard setback. It's granted at 98 feet, in reduction from 100 feet. The height of the proposed addition is approximately 18 feet, which is below the existing height of the restaurant, which is 25 feet 4 inches. The cover letter dated February 6, 24 states that 29% of the site will remain as pervious surface, which exceeds the minimum required 25%. The calculations were not provided on the site plan, and staff had asked for that to be added. They did add numbers to the new site plan, but the percent of lot coverage, the percentage number was not added. It appears to calculate out to be 27.8%, so that would exceed the minimum 25% required. Assuming the drawings provided by to the township are accurate, the total size of the restaurant with the proposed expansion appears to still be below the township's maximum 65,000 square feet. And staff had asked that that number of the existing building be added to the site exhibit 1-1, and it does not appear to have been added to the exhibit. The development plan text should be revised to identify how the figure of 112 parking spaces on the site plan exhibit 1-1 were figured, and it does appear that they did add that information to the exhibit that was provided on March the 7th. The application states that the existing vegetation that has been, that will be disturbed for the addition will be replaced at a ratio of 1-to-1 throughout the site. The application also stated that no trees need to be cleared for the expansion. However, it did appear that there were 2 trees that would be removed, and on the new information that we received on March the 7th, they did show on the new site plan exhibit 1-1 that the 2 trees will be relocated to the western property line. The item number 6 on the letter that was dated March 6th states that there will be no new lighting proposed. The applicant should submit documentation stating whether they believe the application should be considered a major or minor amendment. The letter does state that they consider it to be a minor amendment, but it did not go through the sections in the zoning resolution and give reasons why. The letter that was received, that's dated March 6th, that we received on the 7th, does address each statement in the technical review, but it doesn't appear that the text was updated per the statements in the technical review says that certain items need to be updated in the text, and it does not appear that we did not receive new text, so those items have not been updated and provided to the township.
That was the text?
Correct, we did not receive new text in a lot of the items listed in the technical report ask that the text be updated.
Thank you.
So they did address some of the items, but they did not address all the items in the staff report and the tech review.
Done? Thank you. All right, with that, we'll be coming to our applicant, so please turn your mics on. And before you start, name and address, and then we can go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Tom Bernardo, 8606 Buttonbush Lane, Westerville, Ohio.
Matt Fisher, 233 West 7th Street, Marysville, Ohio.
Just here today to present our application to expand Giamarco's. We've been very blessed to serve this community for over 25 years. We've been a cornerstone of the community for so many special events and life events for members of this community and the surrounding areas. We've provided thousands and thousands of jobs to many students and just people that needed employment over the years. We've done a great, always been very active in supporting the community at all levels of high school, Little League, donations, sponsorships. I'm a founding member of the Genoa Township Business Association. My family lives here. My kids have gone to school here. I'm just hoping that this committee will allow us to approve. We've just found that there are customers. Like I said, we've been very blessed. We can use some more seats. We have the opportunity to put them in that area right there, and our bar area, or we call it the Grotto Bar. It's not really a bar here. Well, it's a bar, but it's mostly for dining. And so we've decided to explore the option of adding 50 more seats to meet a rising demand in the community. And so that's what we're here for. I think we have a pretty outstanding track record as far as not having any complaints or issues or any real community problems in 25 years. And I'm just hoping that we can get this approved today, and so we can kind of start moving the project forward. We've tried to be as responsive and diligent as possible to answering all the questions and being responsive. And, it's a lot of questions, and Matt is here as well to answer any questions that if we didn't completely answer them or clarify them, we have looked at all of these questions that Susan just spoke about. So that's really all I have to say. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anything to add?
Mark Welling, the applicant, Dwellings Design Build, was not able to be here, so I'm here in his place. I am the design architect for this project. I can do my best to answer some of the remaining questions prepared, those responded to by Mark. Like Tom said, this is in addition to the northwest side. We think architecturally speaking, if it's the existing building, we're using a lot of the same materials, same design aesthetic. We tried to adapt to the available space as best as we can, and we felt that this addition area was the best place to put that. To the east was too close to the main road there. There wasn't enough room to the south. It's kind of the best place to expand to meet the demand that is currently in place. The parking, there won't not be any required additional parking. We're trying to focus the renovations to just the northwest corner of the building.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Public comment? Any public comment? Susan, you want to flip the mic on? Name, address, 5 minutes.
Rick Whelan, 9500 Brittenwoods Drive. I got concerned with the parking stuff. You guys said you had a study in there as far as what he turned in as far as the parking. Do you have that to present to me so I can see the calculations of it?
On the sheet, 345 people, 3 patrons per, plus 21 employees at peak for 135. They say they have 138.
We count them. That was the calculation.
Is that how many patrons you have inside the building then? Is that the calculations for the patrons in the building?
Yeah.
The existing building. What's the existing building hold as far as patrons?
Okay, we'll ask that question in a minute.
That's what I'm concerned with because I'm just trying to see if what he's basing his calculations and stuff on. And how many employees does he have listed on there?
21.
21? And how many places are required that he's, on his stuff, it says as far as stuff goes?
So the calculation is 135.
And how many places are there now there?
We'll have to come back to that. Make your comments, Rick, and then we'll.
My comments are for that type of issues. Also, once you get above 100 parking places, I believe you need 5 handicap spaces available. Something you guys consider, unless you know the code. So I think he's been working with one down. I don't know if they added a lot of extra space in the back there for extra seating and stuff around the back as far as people entertaining and stuff like that. That must have got missed before or whatever on one of the earlier zonings. But I'd like you to consider that issue. And that's pretty much what I've got as far as this stuff goes, more just the parking issues and stuff on it. Make sure you got the right stuff, it's the right information that you're going by. Because it's based on the number of patrons in the building. Correct?
Yes, the occupancy, yep.
Okay. Well, is it the occupancy of the building per fire code, or is it number of patrons that are allowed to be in there? Those are different things, so,
Number of people in the building,
okay.
seats.
And you know that for a fact of that, what it is in the existing building right now then, right?
We haven't
Because he's
gotten-
adding 52.
We haven't gotten to that part, Rick.
Okay, well, we'll see what you come up with your calculations. Thanks, guys.
Any other public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay, closed. Who wants to start? Want to go, Sebastian? Not really. Nope, okay.
Okay. My one issue is, we just got this tonight, and it was like, when I read this earlier, there were all these questions which are in the technical review. And Mr. Schaefer said, I am comfortable with staff recommending a condition be revised, development text addressing technical review comments being submitted and approved by staff prior to issuance of a zoning permit. I'm not sure what that means. Did you go over, Mr. Schaefer, yourself, or Paul, Mr. Benson, go over all of these, and did this satisfy all the questions that, technical questions that Mr.
So-
Schaefer asked?
Yeah, so, I mean, Joe is ill, so he's out today. We did receive that it was sent Thursday, and we received it when we came in the office on Friday. So I do believe he looked through those on Friday. The main thing, they did address most of the comments that were in the staff report, but they were not added to the text. So
Okay.
the main point, I think, for that email was that they still need to be added to the text. And the tech review lists them all and says this needs to be added to the text, and we did not receive an updated text. So I think that statement was that if the board was comfortable, the commission was comfortable with a condition that they get us updated text, then he would also be comfortable with that.
So all the other technical review items were answered, and you guys are happy with them? in
It
zoning?
appeared to be. Like I said, I did not personally go through them, but I believe that to be the case.
Okay. It just says Mr. Schaefer did a cursory review last week, and we may be close enough to be voted on with some conditions. I guess the conditions adding the text, is that sort of it? Mr. Benson,
Yeah,
were
I
you
think
happy with
they're-
all this too, as far as, sorry,
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's seen, but there's also some things that Susan mentioned when she's going over the memo that are still missing from the drawing.
Right.
Adding the percentage of open space, adding the square footage of the existing building to the drawing. So we would need new drawings also that have those updates on them.
So are you guys satisfied with everything else, like trees and parking and, you know, all the other things that need to be met that Mr. Schaefer mentioned that have
Correct.
not
It
been
appears that
completed yet?
they're meeting the code requirements and such, but they don't have all of the, we'll say, their i's dotted and their t's crossed to give us everything in the development text. And one of the technicals review items was to have the percentages and such added, because the code has, maximum, has to have at least 25% still, and they appear to meet that, but they didn't actually provide the percentage. So,
Was that in, I think they did say that, the percentage on the pervious pavement or something?
Isn't that under item 11?
Yeah, I think.
Not e-
yeah, I
Does
think
not
he asked
exceed-
for it to be added to the site plan.
So it's,
No,
so
and
it's
it wasn't.
transcription items that,
Correct.
that staff could work with them to do. The data's here, it's just transcription where we'd like it placed.
And they just put that the impervious surface does not exceed 25%, which we would like to see the actual percentage and how it was calculated.
I guess so my question is, are you comfortable with us approving this tonight with the condition that all these other technical review items be completed?
I always thought it was supposed to be whether the commission was
It's
comfortable
not,
with it.
that is not Susan's point to answer.
Well, I'm just, I mean, we just got handed this, and I'm just trying to, I think Gianmarco's is a great thing for our community. It seems like everything's in place to do everything. But, our job is to review this stuff and make sure all the
Correct.
T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. I'm not, certainly not trying to put you on the spot. But I also, when I vote, if I vote for something, I want it to be the right thing and not come back in our faces and go, well, they really didn't do this. And so that's my own question.
And we're happy to clarify all that. I mean, we really are prepared. We might have missed a I dotted or T cross, but we are prepared to talk
Yeah.
all this.
So,
And I know you guys are late, but I'm just saying, we're happy to clarify.
The bottom line is, we do need an updated text that addresses all the items that were in the staff report and the tech review. And then also, there needs to be some more items added to the site exhibit 1-1 that were requested and were not added. Just like the square footage of the original building and such.
I get the feeling from what Mr. Shaver said that he's okay with all that stuff.
Yes, as long as we make it conditional that those items
That all those
get
items be taken care of.
drafted appropriately
I
for
just wanna get
filing.
something from someone. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
That was my question, just to ask
I
if
think
we could
Yes.
give conditional approval with just the paperwork being tidied up. Okay.
So if that's part of the motion, that they have to submit that before they can proceed to what their next step is?
Yeah, I think that's what this all says, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes. And that's assuming that the commission is okay with that.
Right. I'm just trying to get all the facts. Thank you very much. I'm
You
done.
don't have any other questions on, you don't have any other questions on
Um,
items?
I have one
No.
additional question.
Go ahead.
Do we know that they need one more ADA spot?
I'd have to do research
The
on that.
zoning resolution does not address handicap spots.
No, but
So that would
ADA
be,
But ADA does.
that would be like their requirement.
That'd be a county issue.
So that wouldn't be for us to have to put
It's
in?
not in our zoning.
It's not in
resolution.
ours, that, I didn't think so.
Total
So do
number
we
of
know
spots
that?
is the only thing that we've got. ADA is
Okay.
regulated by else.
So that wouldn't be something we'd have to worry about here. Okay. That's just needed when I check. Thank you.
Chip, you got anything?
Well, yes. So okay, this is the updated site exhibit. Because we went from 130 existing spaces to 138 existing parking spaces. I mean, Mr. Chair, I'm on the fence, honestly, about approving this tonight with,
Well, I'm uncomfortable just at this moment, moving forward without having everything in written and having a plan, actually, so.
I guess I'm of the same opinion. I mean, and not because I don't agree with the project.
No, I think it's a good project.
Wholly support the project. It's, there are a lot of, I've counted at least 5 or 6 commitments that would have to be detailed to get this to vote on tonight, and I don't know that I'm there yet.
Do you have specific questions? Because I've got a list of things I need.
No,
you
go
guys to
ahead.
answer.
That's just my sentiments. I
So
mean,
where is the development text?
Development text.
Where, I mean, there's been previous development plans, there's been revisions, but in this submission, there was no development text or the revision to the text. So where is it?
They did have, they did address things in the original packet.
So, but it was just our code with answers with items in it. There was no description of what was going on. There was no normal development text, correct?
And typically now that's what everyone's doing is going through the code and they're,
Right, but there's some
addressing-
sort of description on
this-
the front
yeah.
end, there's what the process is, so I'm missing some text of.
correct, and that's what
and
the
then there's
staff,
And then the revision history was done by staff, but there's nothing in the overall submission.
and that's what the technical report
Yep.
requested,
Okay.
was those,
So do we have,
The-
Did
these are-
submit.
so we have that now?
Yes, sir.
no,
You
we
don't
did
have
not
to.
get that. We did not get any
we don't
updated
have it.
text. The only things that were submitted, was what you got originally, and then last Friday morning when we got in, we got a new site plan, and then we got the letter that was dated March the 6th that addressed all of the items in the tech review. No new updated
Because it was a supplement.
text.
We said it was a supplement to the original text. Our answers were a supplement to what you asked us to provide, and we went through every question that the committee had, and we tried to answer it directly to the best that we could, and
Okay.
and we're happy to answer them again if there's some confusion, but
Okay.
I believe that you have all the information, sir.
I know, I do not.
So you
So-
have the original
I do
development text.
not have the original.
Okay.
I would
we
have to
submitted
now
that.
ask to do that. So in theory, here's what I would expect, is that this is a brand-new development plan. It's a new development plan. You're making an addition to it. So we would then be able to say, this is the old development plan, it goes away. Here is the new standalone development plan. So staff would not have to then go back through and find all the different things that are now addendums to the previous one. So we have one development plan for your
Yeah,
property. What's going on.
I was told by Joe that a supplement would be acceptable.
Okay. Then
That's
Mr.
what we
Schaefer and
did.
I
That's
will
what
have
we
a
provided.
conversation
But
about
that's
that.
what we provided, David, we provided a supplement.
So it's just, to me, it was interesting to not have any development, what I would consider development text as to what the overall project was going to be, what the addendum was, what the history was, and where we're going. Because we also saw in the tech review that there was a previous submission that is now voided because it wasn't done, correct? Okay, so that's that part. With the total number of, you're gonna add 50 to seating or overall occupancy?
Overall occupants, that includes seating and one additional staff if needed.
So what is the difference between the occupancy of the building and the seating currently?
The plaque on the building is 295 currently.
Okay. And then what is it for total seating
Total seating,
prior to this?
prior to this, I don't have the exact number, but
It's under the 295.
yeah, I think it's 180 actual seats. So it's 180 plus employees. Like the 295 is based on the square footage of the building.
Okay, and then seating's less, and then so with the 50, we're actually gonna get to, what do we say, 345, which will be the new occupancy?
Would be the new occupancy, yes, correct.
And with that new occupancy has been, and you talked about no additional doors needed and whatnot.
Yes,
Where
sir.
does that fall within the calculation? So,
Correct. We've plenty of existing egress, parking, restrooms. We've done a code analysis, and we meet, all the existing infrastructure is there.
okay, so that would be something else that I'd like, that should be in the text, so that we show that that process has been done.
Okay.
So that would be an expectation of ours.
I don't think we had a question on that, though, did we? About additional?
Well, there shouldn't be. I mean, just to have it in writing that it's already done and you don't require any additional means of egress, that would be great to
Would
have.
that be more of a building code plans examiner?
That would, they're
jurisdiction?
the ones that can only approve it, but we would expect to see it on
Okay.
on the text.
Okay.
Okay. Landscape plan. So we're removing 2 large bushes. You've got probably about 10 decent bushes and other things. So what would be, we would,
They'll still go around the new perimeter of the building. There's still room in front of the new addition.
so we're gonna
Replace
replace in
those.
like in kind, same
Yes,
quantity?
one for one, same
One
type,
for one.
same species, yeah.
We say there's no lighting, but you currently have rim lights up on the building. So will rim lights be added to this new structure, or there's nothing added at all?
No, nothing at all.
What's the new total square footage of the building with the new addition?
Apologize, I don't have that exact number, but I do believe it is, the existing is just shy of 6,000.
We're gonna add 1360. So 7360, 7300-ish total.
Correct. If that is incorrect, I'll make sure the staff receives the correct number.
And Susan, the calculation was done for percentage of lot coverage? By chance?
I mean, I did do we used the numbers that they provided on the site plan.
Right.
And there was 27.8% of
Okay.
the pervious surface still available.
Okay. All right. So I did a real quick count. For some reason, I only got 137 on my count, so just verify that we've got 138.
Could
and
count
then-
them again, but we only need 135, I think.
You only need 135, but I just want to make sure the number is
I
right
had
on the drawing.
138 as well. I don't know, did you count the 3? There's 3 spots. That one is shaded. That is actually a spot. If you look at
The lower,
the,
the bottom,
I guess the southern elevation.
so the shade next to the trash bins? The
Well, those are
dumpsters?
2 spots there. Yep. And then I was thinking maybe, did you count this as 3? Who has the mouse? Go up a little bit, up, raise it higher. No, the other way. Up. I'm down, I guess, down. I'm sorry, down is where I want to go. Yeah, down. Right there. Okay, you see those right there? That's 3 spots. Did you count those as 3?
Nope. Okay.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't
Thank
realize
you.
those were spots on your plan. All right. Just for a point of clarification on a drawing, when you've got callouts and numbers, there should be a list of what those numbers are. There's no list of that. So on there, you only have coded notes 1, 2, 3, and X. And there's nothing. You've got 15, 16, all these different circles that are called out on the map.
I'll make sure the civil engineer.
Please make sure that
Yeah.
gets drawn out. Thank you. All right. And then county will be questioning whether, do you have to resubmit this to county review before a building permit? You'll
Yes,
have to. Okay, so then they'll come back with the handicap spots, and we just take a look at that number of spots.
If I may add, if we do have to add another handicap spot, we do have, that'll obviously take up more than just one additional spot. So I think we still have
You're still
two
above them.
additional. or some-
You're still above
Four
the minimum.
additional spots that are not on there.
Okay.
That we don't use. And an additional handicap is not a problem whatsoever. There's a lot of places we could add another handicap spot.
Are you demoing anything on the wall? So you're expanding it out? Are you gonna keep it separate, or is the current wall getting demoed and it's gonna be a wide open
The two
space?
exterior walls will be demoed. The two exterior walls.
The upper portion that is to remain will be rebuilt in kind, exactly where it was, the
Okay.
exact same parapet elevation.
From a timing perspective, what's the plan on?
I'd like to start next month,
Well,
but. No, we really have to start, if we're gonna do it, or we're gonna put it off for another year, because, and just because I need, I can't be dark on the inside in the winter. I was going to do this addition during the summer months and spring months when we had all the patio open, and I had enough seating that I could accommodate all of our guests and our customers. If we get to a point where we can't have a start date by, where we can finish it before October-ish, then I'll probably have to put it off or just not do it, but I just.
so start to
I was
finish.
hoping to start as
about
soon as possible.
Like a 3-month build?
Yes, sir.
Three to four, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as we get the approval, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna spend a considerable amount of money on the drawings until we have a green light. So that's going to take, it takes 3 weeks or so for drawings and 3 weeks for building permit after that. And
Yep.
then, if we can still start in May, June, we'll be fine.
So what I would suggest we do a continuance at this point to next month to do it, to have a full packet with everything cleaned up, and so it's a straight submission versus us putting in a ton of different stuff as conditional. It's not something we like to do, especially sending it to the trustees. Chip said, it sounds like a great project. I just don't think it's at a point right now that we would be comfortable making a vote on it. in the
Could I just
affirmative.
ask you what the areas are that you're concerned about? Because I feel like they're very, very minor. One thing I would like to ask you, what is your all opinion as far as whether it's a major or minor? Do I have to deal with that at some point? Is that something that you guys are leaning one way or another? I mean, how makes
my
that
opinion.
decision?
I haven't thought about it yet.
There was 8 conditions that we did read through, and I guess we didn't put them in there to the satisfaction of the application, but I think we read all 8 conditions, and we didn't see any that applied. But
From major, minor?
yes, sir,
Yeah.
for a major.
Correct. My opinion would be a minor, and we would be able to approve it and move forward.
Well, which is, I was gonna clarify, because you said before it goes to the trustees, which, if this is a minor.
It's a
it
minor.
wouldn't-
Did
it
I,
wouldn't go
did
to
I,
the
it
trustees.
wouldn't go to the trustees, you're right. I didn't.
So,
So,
I mean, even
I
though
want
it's like a
clean.
25% plus increase in the size of the structure, I think it's not changing the use, it's not
no.
changing so I would think it would be a minor.
And since we don't have the ability to go to trustees if we do minor, then it's more imperative for us to have a clean version.
That's
That's
the flip
imperative.
side to it, because you're done once you walk out of here. If this is a minor, you're done when you walk out of
Right,
here.
and I'm aware of that. That's why I want to just kind of get some clarification on that.
Yeah.
if,
No,
But I
what
get,
do you guys feel?
I agree, minor.
Minor problem, yeah, but it should get coordinated with, talk to Mr. Schaefer, get all the things, ducks in a row. Yeah, I'm for a continuance too, just same reason, just, we need more information.
I mean, we did talk about that with Mr. Schaefer as, we came in here thinking that a supplement and answering those questions, and I think even Susan said it, that seems to be what the applicants are doing these days, that, and we have all the information, and we're willing to agree to any conditional approval so that I could at least start the plans, the architectural plans, and not have to wait 30 more days to start that process. I mean, we will do every clarification that you guys are asking for in the form that you want. We have all the answers. I don't think it's just in the form that you like it. And we are here to answer all of those questions so that everybody could consider a a conditional approval so we can move forward with the project.
Well, we don't have conditional approvals, so.
I thought that's what we just spoke about, was
Well,
a
there's-
approval.
We can put
with-
conditions.
We can
We can put conditions
on the
in an
approval.
approval.
We cannot give a conditional approval.
That's my-
We can give you the inclination that we feel positive about this. It's just a matter of having it in the right format and cleaned up and done.
And we,
But
I
we're
apologize,
asking,
it's not in the right format. We have all the information.
I
We can
understand.
put it in the right format.
well, we don't. We don't have everything. This is, I mean,
We talked-
this is not correct.
How is it
This,
not
this
correct?
drawing is not, well, you've got called out for 16 different items. They're not even on here. You've got to clean up to verify that we've got the handicap spots. You do have enough other parking spots. I understand that. There's development text that Susan says we don't have. It's not actually submitted. So,
Can we go through all those again? Could we go through those again? Could we just have an opportunity to answer some of these? I mean, that's what this is here for, right? To discuss it, and let's just go on an assumption that you will have all of this so that we don't have any.
I can't operate
No,
on
no, you're gonna,
assumptions.
you do have it. You do have it. You don't have it in the format that you would like it to be in. And I'm being sincere. I'm not trying to be argumentative. It's just a big deal to push this out 30 days for some i's dotted and t's crossed. And I apologize that we didn't put it in the right format, but it is a significant material impact on me as a business person to not be able to start this project possibly for another year or two.
I respect that.
Over some things that I believe that we have answered. We have answered, and if we didn't put it, you'll have it within 2 or 3 days. You'll have it tomorrow in the format that you want. So why do we be penalized for not having it in the exact format for 30 days when it's a one-day solution? That's all I'm saying.
I respect the fact that you want to move forward from a business perspective. You have to understand, on our end, we are here to protect the zoning of the overall township. And to do that, we have a process in place to make that happen. At this point, I do not feel we are at that point in this process to feel, and I feel comfortable about putting a number of conditions in place on a motion that would then be
The only
put in
condition
place.
is that the following questions will be answered to our satisfaction and
No,
included
we
in
have to
the
do
text.
each one by one. We would have to do each condition by itself. It's not a standalone or a blatant or a blanket statement that can be made. And there are drawing questions and there's text
What are the
questions and
drawing
making.
questions.
Again, you've got a number of callouts on the drawing. They're not labeled. We do not have a complete plan in place that we would approve. And since we're going to talk about, and we've said this would probably be a minor, it ends with us. So if we give you the approval today, you get to move forward. And we'll put conditions on it, that's fine. But I am one, in the years that I've been doing this, it is better for us to have a clean copy, to be solid in what we're doing, and answer every single
I
question that we've
appreciate
got.
that, but why does it have to be 30 days? Can't there be another meeting before 30 days when we're 99% through this process? And we need, I mean, we could have this tomorrow. I mean, could we go through them one by one and just see how far apart we are?
From the conditions?
Yes, sir. For the
You've already,
answers
you
that
said
you're
you've
looking
already agreed to the conditions, that's fine. Now we need it in writing and we need it completed.
for. We can have that tomorrow.
Okay,
Do we want to do a
Okay, but I
special
can't
meeting
get an
next week?
approval till
Huh?
April
Do we
11th.
want to do a special meeting or not?
well,
Bernardo,
What's that?
just a question.
Yeah.
If the township, if the commission would be willing to call a special meeting, do you feel that you quickly could have this resolved?
Within days.
If the commission would even
I
consent to that?
understand, and believe me, I mean, I was on the Genoa Township founding. Genoa Township is a great place to do business. That's our moniker, okay? This is called, I got it, this is my problem, not your problem. I'm just asking you to consider that. April 11th, we don't start the plans, May, June, it's not gonna happen this year. And that costs me tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars as a Genoa Township business person. And it's material. And I respect this committee But if Genoa Township's a great place to do business, can we just try to get this done? So this is not Vince Romanello trying to develop 70 acres. This is just Tom Bernardo adding a 50 seats, 1,600 square feet. I mean, I appreciate there is nothing that has not been fully disclosed. This is just some verbatage that we missed, and I do apologize for that. We can have that in a day or
And
two.
just say, I agree with Mr. Leff, it's like, there's a process. We have
I
to have those
understand.
things.
The world's
and you
made of
answered all those
processes.
questions. We may not have all those questions. Zoning, you get, if you can get together with Mr. Schaefer, resolve all those things, and bring it in as it's supposed to be. And it's not, I would be willing to do a special meeting. I would be, next Monday if you want, or that'd be fine with me. I mean.
Thank you, Mr.
No, I
Carter.
mean, that's,
I would be willing
if
to
it's,
do a
will
special
fit in the
meeting for it.
schedule.
Yeah. I
So-
don't have we have to have the meeting schedule in front of us and all, I don't know. I
Would you
don't
do
have
a
that
special
either,
meeting?
so. I'd have to
Yeah,
know what the schedule was,
Since it's
even
already
if,
started,
even
we
if
don't
the
have to
hall
start-
is
We don't have to
available.
repost. We don't have to advertise.
We could
because
do a
this-
continuation to
this
next Monday?
The issue is we would have to look on the facilities calendar to see if anybody else has the room rented. But I don't have access to the facilities calendar, so that's not
And
something that I can look
go
at.
check it if you want, but I don't have it in front of me.
Can you go check
Could-
it, please?
Yep.
Yeah, we also have to allow time for staff to review
Yes.
what comes in also.
Well, I think they're gonna get this in pretty quick.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I
so-
feel like we're 99% there. I know it's not exactly. a
We're not
couple,
questioning you,
know,
sir,
I
at all.
understand your process,
But
and I
it's-
appreciate that. But, I also appreciate the fact that, we're trying to do business to help the community and meet a demand in the community that wants to see this happen. And me as a businessman, it makes a lot of, it means a lot. But again, we could go through every one of these, and we have these answers. We've addressed them all. We didn't put it there. And that's on us, not on you. I understand that. But, if you're willing to be a little flexible with us, to give us a chance to just clarify this without costing me, 4 weeks, I would appreciate it.
If I may add, the civil engineer was on vacation last week, so it was someone else on her team making these adjustments. So now that she's back in the office, I'm sure they'll be very quickly.
I'm disappointed too in the condition of this, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not happy that we have this many gaps in how it's supposed to be. We took the development comments, we were under the impression it was a supplement. We answered them all. I believe we answered all of them. I guess we just didn't, put the information where it was supposed to be on the development plan.
Is it possible in
Makes
your
me feel
plans also to
pretty good
number all
with
the
what
parking spaces?
Mr.
It's just
Schaefer-
way easier to figure out
Well, that's what
Try
the,
to-
the number.
Also, to remember where your car is.
Oh, is these the numbers? Oh,
yes,
that's,
yeah, those are the parking spaces.
I used to always number them all, but it's just easier to count them, but. So that's what you're calling out for?
Yes, that was the civil engineer's
Okay,
designated
that's-
as the number of parking
You
spaces.
see, all these numbers, they're actually the parking space. I thought also that were numbers for something else, but.
What?
The
all
circles
the
of the
random
numbers
numbers,
are,
it
there's a
just-
number of
it just
parking
confusing.
spaces in that
I
bank.
mean, in the
Number of
circles or
spaces,
something, or-
that's what that is?
Correct,
That's what that
yes.
is, but it's so confusing because I used
It
to
is, I
always
agree.
like number every parking space itself, and then it's way easier to read that document.
I agree.
So if you possible, just number every parking space, so then we can just go over them easier.
There's no numbers, circles, so no, some are numbered, is that what you're saying?
Apparently, it was, I thought also that, when I was reading this, I also was like, what is it reflecting of? But apparently, those are the parking spots.
It's on that.
It's the legend, the X and the circle, that's a representation of
Oh,
the number of parking
it's
spaces.
confusing.
That's- I think it's mislabeled. That should be in the legend,
So
not the
that's-
coded
oh
my
notes.
God.
So if there's a 6, that means there's 6 in that
So-
area.
There are 6 spots in that bank.
All right, hang on.
Due to, there's a election, the hall is not rented on Monday and because of the election on Tuesday, because they bring in all the equipment for the election.
Did you look at the following week?
I did not.
Does it have to be here? I got a great party room. I got a great public area.
Yes, it has to be here. Unfortunately, otherwise we can't record a public meeting. 20, I mean, next week I'm out anyway, but the following week, 25th,
Yeah, look for the 25th.
I'm on spring break, that's why.
Yeah, I'm gone that week of the,
25th.
yeah.
So if I may clarify, was the numbers of the circle, was that one of the question marks you had, just to clarify?
Yeah, I did. No, I didn't realize.
Okay.
So that is actually counting the number of parking
That
spots
is-
in
yes,
that
that-
section.
That is the number of parking spots in that bank, yes. So the coded notes would be the hexagon.
Yep.
Those would be the coded notes in that section. I believe the circle with the X is misplaced. That should be under the legends to the right of that.
Okay, understood.
What else are we, I mean, we're not trying to hide anything. I hope you all realize that.
We never questioned that.
Yeah, I understand, and I just want to get this right. I just feel like all the answers are in this room right now. That's what just is frustrating for me as a business person in this community.
Nope.
It's not a disagree. I mean,
Well, it's,
the answers are here. We could talk about the answers.
I understand that.
Okay, but I'm
so
saying they're not in the
but-
format that you want them in. That's
Okay,
fine, and that's.
But
all
when we
want.
do a development plan, so it's, boom, this is
But
it,
we were
this is
told
the
that-
plan,
we
this
were
is
told
everything.
that all we had to do was a supplement to the development plan. Okay. That's what we were told. How am I supposed to know that that
We
wasn't
had a big
correct?
banquet coming up, and the delivery guy brings all the stuff up, and you want to know what's in the truck? He said, just trust me, I got it all right. And you know him.
You
Would
know, I'm
you?
not asking you to trust me. I'm not asking you to trust me. It is here. It is all here.
Right.
It's just not, I mean,
The issue is, the hall is very popular.
Yes, it is.
So it's,
Is there another?
looks
room
like
in here that
there's
we can
an,
use?
on the 25th, there's a group in here at 7 o'clock. BZA's on the 26th.
We don't have to be on a Monday, do we?
No.
No.
They usually hold on facility calendar the third Thursday of the month, which would be the 21st, in case the trustees have potential second hearing or second meeting, so it's possible that might be open.
Is that open?
The 21st, somebody's in here.
Oh, nope, never mind.
I mean, Wednesday, the 27th, looks like it's open in the evening. I don't know what, I don't know what Joe's schedule is. That's spring break week, so a lot of people might be out of town, and I don't know what your guys' schedule
We
is.
just really
but-
need a quorum with this group and the zoning staff, right?
Or one of you two here, 27th?
I mean,
Chip's out.
I'm out.
Sarah,
I'm here.
I'm here, I'm here.
I don't know about Joe, that he might be gone on spring break.
Joe just said he can't do the 28th because of RPC.
Oh, that's right. Can he do the 27th?
I'm asking him now. All right, Mr. Schaefer said he can do the 27th.
Pardon me?
He said he can do the 27th.
So that's Wednesday, the 27th.
Yep. All right. So,
Keeping it at 7?
that means revised materials.
I'm working on that one. I'm working on that one.
If we say the 20th, that's a week prior to the meeting.
We'd prefer the 18th.
Monday, the 18th?
Give him a week, yep.
should be fairly simple, because they just have to go
Yep.
step by step down here and just do exactly what it says, right? And add it to the appropriate document.
The,
You say
so
the
the,
18th is open?
so the missing information that you would require would be a formal development text, is that correct? That,
Yes, we need to see the
This letter
development
from
text.
Joe Schaefer said, or a supplement. Okay, so I'll just, in our own defense, that's why we did this. But if now that's changed, then that's changed, in my opinion, but.
Well, but
that's
I
fine.
still don't think this constitutes the development
Okay.
text.
and then for the,
But this is not, this has been provided as a response before, from what I understand, to this letter, is what Susan said earlier.
No,
No,
They
that's not what she said.
it provided this, which is the articles, and then comments below. But there were more things that were asked to be added to this original,
Is that
text that was
letter from
put-
Joe? Is that in the letter from Joe?
that's in
Those
the,
requests?
in the, technical review
You.
and the staff memo,
The
which
staff
you guys
There's
got
two things
copies
that Joe
of.
puts out.
And he sends those out to the applicant, like about a week before. And then we did get the response in that letter form, but it wasn't added to the text.
There should have
And
been
it-
an email
and
around the
everything
4th.
wasn't added to the site plan either.
Usually he sends them to us about the same
Mark,
time. he sends
Mark
to
is
you.
the applicant, and he's on vacation
That's
this
fine.
week, so that's
So
why I'm
there's
here.
a-
So I wasn't privy to some of these
Staff
emails.
memo and a tech review. There's two documents. And that's what you responded back to.
Outside of this that we missed, I guess? Is there anything outside of the letter dated March 6th from Joe Schaefer? I know this was from us to you.
This is,
We have the letter from,
So there's a staff memo and there's a tech review.
You have to sit down with Joe Schaefer and figure it
That
out.
was
Have it all ready
emailed.
for next meeting, and not have all this stuff going on.
And, I mean, here's a copy of those.
but we would be giving you till the
18th at 4 PM.
Okay.
at 4 PM to
18th? So the 18th
submit.
is when they have to have the materials in.
So prior to
Okay,
that,
okay.
you can meet
But
with
the
Joe,
meeting is
talk to him,
27th,
get
right?
everything taken care of.
The meeting is 27th.
I mean, we've
Just
answered
making sure.
every question.
Yes, that's what I was.
So clarification of the development text, and then were there any remaining comments on the site plan itself from civil, other than the existing square footage of the building, which I think is included in the acreage calculation, it's just,
Susan, you
The-
did
the
the
existing-
calculation on 11. You came up with 27.8 versus 25.
No, they
So-
just stated
oh.
that they were in compliance with that. They didn't give an actual percentage. And I think
So-
we're looking for the actual percentage.
actual percentage,
Add
okay.
to the site data.
Mhm. So that way you're done.
So that, like, the numbers are on the site plan, but the actual percentage
Percentage,
calculations aren't.
And then you need to look at egress on number of doors with the occupancy where you're
Okay,
at.
I can share my building
That's
code plan.
just, put that on that right there, and we'd be fine.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Nope.
I think if there's something.
I know one of the things that Joe mentioned in his letter that I will specifically call out, I should say in his tech review, it's point number 24. Where he asked that the development text reference the prior and approved divergences, conditions, and stipulations that will carry on or continue through this amendment to the final development plan.
It's 24, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the last page.
Well, so it's the tech review. So make sure
It's
you
number
look at
24 on
two different ones.
On
Mr. Welling's letter.
Oh, yes, that's one I have up here.
All right, so we'll be back here on the 27th.
All right, Mr.
Motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to continue the public hearing for the subject final development plan amendment application known as Zoning Commission Case Number 2024-01 until March 27th at 7 PM in the Genoa Township Hall. Additional or revised materials will be due to the Genoa Township Development and Zoning Department by March 18th at 4 PM.
I second the motion.
Roll.
Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mr. Leff?
Yes. That concludes this portion of the meeting at 8:05 PM. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, if I could use the restroom for a minute.
Five?
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll be on a 5-minute break. Paul, you want to pause us? back in session, 8:11 PM. Next item up are comments from the draft of the zoning resolution, chapter 6 through 15. And if we can all get to chapter 6 eventually.
I know.
would like to have my iPad to actually make this work a little bit faster, but
I actually have it printed with notes on the side.
you did have
I
it
did-
printed with the slide.
I did. I sat on the aircraft and did it.
All right. Anybody 601?
Yes.
Yes.
One thing, this is just a comment. You know, we talk about rural residential districts, and Article 5 is all about districts. But we really don't have a rural residential district, because, I mean, it's spotted all over those places. There's PRDs, RRs, SRs, and all that stuff. I guess that's just a term we're going to stick with, district. Am I reading that correct? I don't really have an answer for that.
So rural residential is a zoning district.
Pardon?
Zoning district.
So is a zoning district. Suburban residential is a zoning district.
So
P-
it's a
PRD
district,
is
but
a
it
zoning
doesn't necessarily describe a geographic place. It's just, it's all the ones, all the rural residentials are a district, no matter where they are.
Correct.
Okay, that answers it, thank you. I would like to make a comment on 6 before we start. Is I've gone through all these charts between the tables and that. I don't like the table. I mean, I tried going back and forth. I mean, if we kept both, I'd be okay with it. I definitely don't want to leave, I don't want to take out all this stuff Joe's got crossed out in here, because it's like, I live in a rural residential, so I'd like to go in there and see what I can and can't do, rather than go on that chart, which I find hard to use. So that's my 2 cents there.
Okay.
Okay.
That's going to be a much longer conversation with Joe.
Well, and I know I did a lot of work, and I tried really hard. I tried really hard, but I'm on there, I'm going, what the heck is that? You know, I mean, it is a good reference if you want to find out something specific.
Not that I want to disagree with you, but I kind of like the chart.
It's okay.
I can, it's done.
Well, and that's where it's like, I would keep them both then. I mean, it's, you know, we don't make that many paper copies, you know, I mean, anymore, it's all on there, and if we can
Yeah,
use
mine.
both, we can use both. I mean,
I agree with you in first place, but I mean, it's kind of like either we go this route or we don't go. I think if we go both ways, it's going to be even more confusing.
The amount of tieback is going to be significant if we.
the amount of what?
Tieback, if we make the other changes, if, you know, it's the subsequent changes and then it's coming back and making all the references, and this helps clean it up. Plus, for staff-wise, it makes it a ton easier for them to use that chart.
Okay.
going through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big, it's not a complete thing, that's just my opinion.
We need to have that conversation at a,
Okay. That-
I'm not, we need to have it. I'm not
Sure. Oh, you're
stopping
not
you.
cutting me off. No, no, no. I
We need Joe
understand
here
that.
to have that conversation.
Right, yeah. So, okay.
Unless Susan really wants to argue one way or the other. No, she does not, see? I thought.
You're not going to die on the sword for that?
All right, 601, 602,
Yes.
okay?
It's just a small thing.
Sure.
602.06, commercial or business use of a lot in district shall be prohibited unless otherwise specified within resolution. So I guess there's just some word missing there. This is just within this resolution, I'm guessing.
That's something that comes up in, it seems like every chapter, subject to Article 1. Why is this been added in? Does anybody know?
Which part?
Where is it?
Are you talking about where it says subject to Article 1 of this resolution? Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
602
Oh,
or
I'm
6.
I'm going to.
Oh, never mind, okay.
It's just a word that's missing there.
Which word, Sebastian, say where it
Which-
is.
which word?
Within the resolution or within this resolution.
What's the
Specified
word?
within-
second line
Oh,
there.
within the resolution?
Something like that,
This-
or
this
this, or.
resolution.
This resolution? Yeah, okay, so, all right. Paul, you're making a note of that? All right, thank you. My first one's 60311. Anybody has anything before then?
You're talking about the new 11 or the old 11?
New 11.
Okay.
Driveways. And the specific call out of driveways, we only talk about public roads. What about private?
We don't regulate them off of private roads. Like in a condo, we don't monitor driveways. Are you talking for intersections?
Well, I'm thinking more of the intersections. We've got the 40-foot rule for driveways of inter-lane roads, and it's on public, but we don't, if I'm reading this way, we would then not have it on a private road where there could be intersection on a private road. And I'm asking whether or not we want to have the same rule across everything.
I think we should. Yeah. I mean, it's not about public or private, it's about a good rule.
Okay.
I agree.
So let's make a note of that and see what Joe thinks, and then go from there.
Especially considering a private road could be given up to the township.
Yep. Could be.
It's not the right word, but I can't think of it.
And it was, that was a
Deeded.
safety side
Yes.
item.
Yes.
All right, any more 603? All right, 60402.
I have that too.
What did I say? B.
I have that exact too.
Why are we need to talk about this and explain why we have an exception. So,
That was my question.
I'm
Exactly.
glad we, see, this is good. All right, so we need to come back to that one. Need to have a larger conversation on lighting. 60403, I still think we need to have some additional pieces there. I know we say downward, and we haven't even gotten to the lighting standard, which is a totally different article. We'll get to that in Article 21, but I do think we need to make sure that we're covered there. And so my topic going forward there is gonna make sure we have downlight, and we're not having broadcast, and then we're also, thinking about permitted uses in operations, and we're gonna get to one of those here in light industrial district as well. So that's gonna be another point of discussion at some point. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was before, you know.
What?
I wasn't sure what the lighting was before, because by referring to Article 21, we'll find out it may require down.
it
Down
may,
lighting
we
in
do
houses.
have down, but we've also allowed some entrances where we've had some broadcast lights, and I think it's caused some problems.
Okay.
And then,
We don't really regulate lighting in the residential districts a lot.
Right.
Just commercial.
but entrances and commercial, so. Anyway, we'll get back to that one then. Just know that we're gonna come back to it. 05, cluster box units. I know they are referring to mailbox units. Are they just considered cluster, is the actual terminology cluster box unit? or
Yeah,
is
they're
it
called,
cluster
they're called
mailbox?
CBUs.
Huh?
They're called CBUs. They are
Called-
cluster,
they're
cluster
actually
box
called
units. Yeah,
CBUs?
yeah, that's what the USPS uses for their term.
All right, anybody else
No,
for
we're
6?
done.
More than 6?
Nope,
Anything in 7?
I do.
Okay.
Um,
I have a general thing also about that.
Okay, so, sorry, let me get there.
7, what number are we going to?
So my first question, there's a reference, this is just a general comment first. Does Genoa Township own any land touching Hoover? Because most people don't touch Hoover, they touch Columbus land that has Hoover in it. I don't think there is any land that we own. And the only thing would be a private property where the embankment had eroded away that would actually touch Hoover. And that's,
May or cemetery.
Pardon?
There might be is there the cemetery over there on?
Yeah, the cemetery on
Red
Red Bank backs up to Columbus, City of Columbus property, which surrounds.
and we probably wouldn't
Hoover.
develop there either.
So we don't actually touch the
We would
water,
probably wouldn't develop it on the cemetery.
but
But thank you,
Yeah.
though,
Yes.
for that point. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, well, and that, it has to do with the definition later. None of the lots on Hoover touch Hoover. They touch Columbus land property that has Hoover encompassed in it. Does that make sense?
Some of them go all the way up to the reservoir,
I mean,
like at the
lots-
water edge, their
some- if-
property.
If it is eroded and the stakes have fallen out, that's the only case where they do that. The properties.
I mean, some property owners do,
There's a
some
stewardship.
place there's property lines, and then there's land, and then water.
It's still
but-
City of Columbus land, it's a stewardship program, you mean for like a dock
Right.
or a path?
But some places, there are lots and the water adjacent to each other, and not that, like a big land strip in between. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, because later we defined it as lots abutting land on to Hoover owned by the City of Columbus, and there are none. And so we have two different exceptions when we go to our 100-foot or 200-foot setbacks and stuff like that. So I'll get to that. Sorry, I just had to, I needed to do that.
I thought our reference was to the watershed, which was a certain, the way we worded it originally was anything feeding into, we have to go,
We'll get to,
We'll
yeah,
get back to-
I'll
okay.
I'll give you an example here in a minute,
Okay.
so. And anyways, after reading this article, this basically says we should do a lot of great things. If, you know, in here, establish restrictive regulations, and in 70102, the new one, right at the end there, it says requiring larger and or more robust landscape buffers. And this really does not do that currently. These are, and I made a chart of the Hoover, you know, the Hoover overlay and PRD, what the differences are, and there really aren't differences. So that'll get into what I'm talking about a little bit later. 70102B, it says promote responsible development that is context sensitive. I looked that up, and I still don't really know what it means. I don't know if many of you use context sensitive, but I'd like to replace it with that takes an encompassing view of the surrounding land and watershed. Because, I mean, I don't like words that are hard to understand, if necessary. Okay, for 70102C, it says, create opportunities for the public to access, study, enjoy Hoover Reservoir, its watershed and associated environs via interconnected greenways and waterways. I don't think there are any interconnected greenways and waterways that people who live in Genoa Township can follow on Genoa Township land. So what I propose is that we say create and promote opportunities for township residents to access, study, and enjoy Hoover Reservoir, its watershed and associated environs via access to township parks within the watershed and access to City of Columbus parks located on Hoover Reservoir via interconnected pedestrian-friendly walkways to Red Bank, Oxbow, and Twin Bridges parks. Because that's more realistic. There's no greenways or waterways
Hopefully.
the public can get
There-
to.
Yeah, the reason for that is it's saying when you develop property that's in this, then you will promote that. It's not saying that they currently exist, it's saying when you develop in the watershed, then you would need to provide these.
see, the
I disagree with that. but go ahead.
wording, well, the way I take your wording is really more of a comp plan piece, not of an action of being developed in that area.
Well, to create. there's
These
no way
also
we could
aren't
create-
set rules, these are more aspirational.
Right, but there's no way to create opportunities via interconnected greenways and waterways.
Well, there is if they would buy land for a park or anything.
If you,
There is no
if-
land for park
if,
available.
well,
I don't believe.
if you look further on, when we're,
Mhm.
if you're doing a new PRD that abuts to the water, to the Hoover, then we require them to have pathways that go by the water to be able to create those. So this section here is more of just this is what the Hoover Watershed Overlay District is going to try to promote. And then later is how we would, what we would do to be able to promote those things that we would aspire for.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there's only one development that has a pathway that's already been approved and everything that goes down to Hoover. And that's a greenway, but there's no waterways. And to me, it's more like if we're gonna have the people in our community, and I'm thinking particularly along Oxbow, along that new development, I know there's a 20-foot setback, but, you know, all the people coming from the Vinmars, if they wanna walk to Hoover, I don't know if that's something that would promote and I don't know how much the park system can do as far as the other lots down there or something.
We also have to take into account things can change, and it's very possible, or it's not very possible, but it's possible. somebody could go and buy the entirety of the North Shore development and Oxbow, all of those houses, tear them down and create a new development. And so we would have to have rules in for them to be able to do that. And that's what these rules would do then.
More for the future than
Okay.
anything else.
All right. 70102D. Okay. Well, that's just requiring, this is for requiring larger and more robust landscape buffers. So, okay. If you want to move on, I'm to 70303.
Okay.
Yeah. In the earlier part, where we talk about larger and more robust buffers, it's still 100-foot exactly like it is off of our rural residential. Now we require a 100-foot buffer on a PRD, and that's the exact same. We're saying we need to do larger. And there's two things here, and this says a 50-foot wide no-build zone shall be provided immediately adjacent to any lot containing Hoover Reservoir and owned by the city of Columbus. I'm trying to read that, immediately adjacent to any lot containing Hoover Reservoir. So is that meant for if we did buy the land that actually abutted the city of Columbus?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's what that says.
So the next part says a 100-foot common open space or improved common open space buffer shall be provided along any contiguous lot or tract not otherwise regulated by the sections above. So this contiguous lot or tracts, contiguous to what?
Contiguous to the 50-foot buffer. So they have to have a 50-foot buffer that's a no disturb zone. They can't do anything to that area. Then there's 100 feet that they have to have as just open space that they could use for a pathway or just grass or whatever they want to do. And then they could start having lots after that. So you have a 150-foot buffer from the city of Columbus property to when you can start having lots,
Okay,
private lots.
So this is not intended for lots that are on Hoover, that are private and. then
Not
the-
currently, no. This is just for if there's a new development.
New
Okay,
development.
but, okay, I'm thinking of developments that if, come back up to a lot that is on Hoover. Does this not apply to that at all?
It needs to be planned.
This has to be, it has to be a planned development.
Right.
Right. Not a
And
singular home.
so the planned development has to be on the water.
It has to be connected to a property, the city of Columbus property that contains Hoover water, the Hoover Reservoir.
Okay, all right. Let's see here.
That's where that bigger buffer came.
Yeah, I understand. I just, that's why I asked first is, is there actually any land that this applies to? And the chances of houses coming down, I guess we're preparing for that.
If somebody purchases all of the houses in Lake of the Woods and wants to do a new development where Lake of the Woods is, then this would apply.
Okay. All right.
More sevens?
I have a general comment. I just find it weird that Article 7 is in between our actual zoning districts, because it's like something different. I would rather have it in front of it or at the end.
So the only reason for that was.
Numbering?
Well, that was a previous article that was something different that was reserved. And so rather than
Yeah.
redoing everything in a different order and messing up everything, you hold one reserved, like we've taken
Oh, I
one
understand,
out,
yeah.
and then this one got plugged into that.
My only thing is like, we are kind of redoing it all now.
Well, but it's still, that's totally, you want to change all the articles, that's a totally different,
All, but,
that would not be a fun process.
I mean, I understand that it's,
Yes, logically, if you were to white sheet it, it makes sense, but yeah, it's about holding its places. All right, any more sevens? Too bad you didn't take a picture of your notes.
I have a question.
Anybody at home, take a snapshot of them so you have them?
Oh,
She's not that
70301. The standards within this section shall apply to all planned zoning districts. whether existing or proposed within the Hoover watershed overlay district, as well as all existing or proposed planned developments within the HOD. My question is, what is the difference between those two, between the two? Why is there an as well? That just, it's kind of confusing to me.
70301?
So what's that saying is if there's already a planned development that is abutting Hoover Reservoir, if they want to make amendments to it,
Okay,
the amendments are subject to the Hoover watershed overlay.
okay, okay. Let me just read it again.
Any more sevens?
No.
No. Okay. My first one's 803. You don't have anything before 803?
Sorry, I had some sevens. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I was just rereading it here.
okay.
70303, point B and then point 4. Says, at the end it says, the linear footage shall not count towards the number of plantings required, herein thereby resulting in a reduction in the number of required plantings. It seems confusing, the shall not count towards and later resulting in a reduction. Seems that they say something, quote something different.
Which one?
Point 4 there.
Yeah, so if you take the linear footage of the no-mow zone out, that would result in reducing the number of plantings. It's saying that it will not do that.
I get it, but because of the wording, it seems like it will give you a reduction on it. Like, it's just the way it's written that's confusing to me.
Would you want to add, which would result in a reduction in the number of required? There's a, I think, the best way of writing that. I'll mark a note as to look at it and
Yeah.
maybe wordsmith it.
No, it's saying that if there is a low mow, that linear footage is removed from the calculation, which reduces the amount of plantings required. We're taking a low mow as
Yes,
a in
okay,
lieu
yes, that's
of
correct.
the plantings, is what that
Okay,
says.
okay.
They can't count it towards the number of plantings.
Right, so if you,
Yes, okay. I see what, I see what it wanted to say, yeah. Now this is confusing. For me, it was just like, why is 70401, 70402, and 70403 like 3 different lines of, I mean, why could we just not write it in one go instead of like having it in 3 points? And why can we just not get, one is for residential zoning district, one is for planned residential district, and one is, I mean, why can we just not put these districts just behind each other and not have all this text?
I'll scroll up to 1. What is 1?
Now, a lot of that text isn't going to be there because it's crossed
No, but
out.
it's permitted principal uses. Okay. Scroll.
It is kind of repetitive.
It is repetitive. There's 3, you're right, Sebastian, there's 3 different things.
I think because
It's-
is it because he's mentioning the tables? Is the same
Well,
table?
it's the same table, but it is 3 different, I mean, the bottom one is planned residential zoning district. The number 2 is just a zoning
Residential,
district.
Yeah.
residential. yeah.
Residential.
And
One is well, HOD, the overlay. So it's 3 different districts.
Yeah. No, I understand, it's just very repetitive how it's like written, it's like, we just not do this in one point.
Well, we can,
I
we
know,
can
I
take a
know,
look at
but-
that and see if there's a way
See
to
if they
clean it up.
combine.
This is just like so.
Let's
long.
ask, let's put it on the list.
Mark
at
it
the
down.
top To see if we want to combine them, that's fine. You still got more than seven?
Yeah, but 70404 is also one of them. There's actually
Yep.
one more, yeah. That's all for
So
7.
1 through 704, 1 through 4. That's it for 7?
Yes,
8?
I have nothing on 8.
I've just got one, it's just a question, I don't quite understand. 803.01, minimum lot area.
Yep.
And B, regardless of sewer service, any portion of a lot within a common access drive, easements, or street right-of-way, existing or proposed shall not count towards the minimum lot area requirement. And for suburban residential, there is sewer service there, right?
Yes, it's necessary. I mean, that's what it says in the
Sometimes,
beginning.
No,
not
it doesn't have to be.
always.
Pardon?
Good, well,
Not
yeah.
every lot,
Not every suburban residential,
not every lot.
because is it required to now?
No, I mean, it's,
Suburban,
I don't think so.
half-acre lots? We have to have 2 acres to,
I mean, it says in the beginning, this
Yeah.
district is to
Not-
be applied to areas currently served by central water, central sewer, wastewater treatment plants operated by the Delaware County sanitary engineer. That's what it says in the beginning. I'm not sure, but
Right,
it's,
yeah.
So
uh,
well, that's where it's
it
like, I
could
mean,
be
a
an
sub-
existing
a
lot
suburban resident, it could be an existing suburban residential lot. That's the only
and
thing
not
I
a
would think
a
of.
newly created lot.
Okay, I just, thank you for the answers. It just seemed to be odd in there, so, okay.
Um, 80305, we talk about the lot line. It specifically says 50 feet from front lot. Where is it?
I read that down.
Never mind. Lot line, for some reason I had curb in my mind. It's another, the dot 11 is driveway, same comment as I had before, it's just a larger conversation when that we need to have. Public versus private and having all roads.
You have 80402 again, B.
Which one?
The B, the one wide that the residential types that don't need, that have different landscaping standards. I just want to make a note for it that he also looks at this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
pretty
in
much,
all the-
I know, it's in all of them, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same number, we just need to look at why. Any more in eights?
One, 80304B. In A, it says all lots shall be at least 60 feet wide, and B says all lots shall be 85 feet wide. Should that be at least 85 feet wide also? I mean, they don't have to be exactly 80, I'm sorry. 80304 lot width.
80304.
So a flag lot can have a 60-foot width and
Yeah.
the other residual lot, it has to have 85.
Can I have what?
The residual lot, like if you were doing a lot split or you were adding a flag lot.
Yeah.
So the flag lot could have 60-foot access
Uh-huh.
frontage for their access for the pole of the flag lot, but the other lot would have to have 85 foot.
Would it be at least 85?
Mhm.
Well, that's what my question was. It says all lots shall be 85 feet wide.
Oh, yeah.
Should
Yeah,
it be
so-
at least 85 feet wide?
That's saying
It doesn't
is,
have to be exact 85.
is the flag portion of a flag lot has to be 60 feet at the frontage, and it can't get less than 60 feet until it gets to be wide enough that it's 85 feet. That's when we start measuring the lot. It's just saying you can't make a flag lot that's this wide, and then it goes like this to like 10 feet, and then it opens back up again to 85.
I
It
guess
has to
that's-
be 60 feet wide the entire
So
time.
it has to be at least 60 feet wide to start, but it has to be exactly 85 feet at the required.
No, once it hits 85 feet, that's where the front lot line starts. for our setbacks.
for setbacks.
You're saying 85 feet down the road?
No,
Frontage.
85 feet of frontage.
60 feet,
Yes.
Yeah,
when it does this, to
Yeah.
go back, now the setback goes.
I think
Not
it's,
from here.
I think the question is like, shouldn't it say at least or something?
Okay. I'm still like, so it has to be exactly 85 feet.
Oh,
No,
it can maybe more.
it can be more than
But
85
it's
feet.
not
Well, I
in
know,
there,
that's,
it's
I'm
wording,
saying
I
you
think.
should put at least in this one also, because this says at least 60 feet. This one should say at least 85 feet,
Yeah.
rather than just saying it shall be 85 feet.
We just need to add those 2 words to that sentence.
Okay.
In other words, yeah, it doesn't have to be,
80304B
that's what I'm
added.
saying, it does not have to be,
He
it
wants
has to be
to add
85
that.
feet
The
or
minimum,
more.
Which would be the words
So
at least.
A and B.
Did I say it weird or something?
Everybody's like,
I know, everybody's.
Shall be at least, okay. All right. More eights? Yes, no,
Nope,
9,
yes.
okay.
Let me get there.
What's your first one?
My first one's 903.
I have 90305 axis.
Okay,
That's
I have,
mine too.
Okay.
And 901?
yes. Why did we add G, 90102G, provide housing and limited neighborhood scale commercial activity that is generally consistent with the characteristics typical of a primarily residential neighborhood?
I believe that was something Joe picked up from training, but that's something that you'd have to ask him.
That was in
Okay.
that and also.
Well, it's also because we have new functions added to these,
Yeah,
like,
okay. Because one of these programs, you're not allowed to have it, and I'm just, okay.
they're just
All right.
different uses that are added in this new.
Okay, so if I'm, 90103, this is my question from before. 90103, the very last subject to article of this resolution, I think it's supposed to say subject to Article 1 of this resolution.
Yes.
And why did we add subject to Article 1 of this resolution in lots of different places? What is it particular we're looking at?
Is it to ensure that the heavier development is in the areas served by sewer? What is?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. One's sort of intent and purpose, and it has all the, I mean, maybe it's just covering something, I'm assuming.
I'll make a mark on it, and Joe
Ask Mr.
can
Schaefer,
probably
thanks.
expand on that at the next regular meeting.
Okay. Okay, so,
Well, because Article 1 was all admin.
So enforcement. 90300. Oh, 90301, paragraph 2. And we've come across this before. Only parcels of at least 25 acres in size are under application for rezoning to PRD, that blah, 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 shall be considered. And we've talked about that before, but we have approved several that were less. And I just didn't know if we wanted to add the word generally.
No,
No,
this is, no.
Okay? And your reason for saying no so adamantly is?
5 is where the divergence
Because
level
that
starts.
It's the divergent line.
That's the bird.
It's a-
Okay,
it is
I
an
know you guys have
actual-
discussed it
that
before,
is-
but,
yeah,
okay.
That is the line. If
Okay.
if we give any leeway on that, then it becomes more subjective. than-
Okay, and this will be controversial too. 90302, unless somebody has something before.
No, I'm after
We've
that.
got 1 dwellings per net developable for conservation and 1.25. Everything in 2, 3, and 4 is in the Hoover overlay. And it says to have, less development and all this stuff, but when we redid those, and I realized that I gave some of those numbers out, I would like to see those drop to 0.9 and 1.1, because I think that we're going to need to look at the planning, chapter 4 of the comprehensive plan, because I don't think we went far enough with that. And my thought is, for all the people we've had come in and talk, for like planning area 5, for instance, we got that back to 1.35, which is great. It really helped those people out. But on the other side of the river, of the lake, in planning areas 2 and 3, they were at 0.75, and now they're up at 0.10 to 0.125, which is a
To be-
fairly significant jump.
To be fair, there is not gonna be a PRD there anytime soon, because there's no sewer.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
it
could be,
depends.
but I mean,
Yeah, there are, I know they're putting some sewers, it's coming that direction. I don't know if you guys want to revisit that or not. But if we put .9 and 1.1, it gives us opportunity if we do look at chapter 4 of the comprehensive plan, if we decide to revisit those densities for 2, 3, and 4, then that would be in there. And as long as we're doing this, maybe we'll be able to do that planning chapter also.
Jim, I would put a flag on that one for us to
Okay.
discuss at a future date.
Okay. Okay, my next one's 90305.
That's, yep,
Anybody else got that?
90305.
If you'd like to go first, yeah, fire away.
do you have, is it further? Do you have, I have at B, I'm at,
Pardon?
I'm at point B, which my note is about.
Yeah,
I'm at B2.
My thing is there was an inconsistency with, first it says 30, and later he says 60, so it's kind of inconsistent. It's either 30, when you only need one access road, or it's 60, but it cannot be both. Because later in point 2, he says, the total number of proposed dwellings within the planned development does not exceed 60, inclusive of all phases and sections, then you are not to be required.
I think what he's doing there is trying to put a limit on how many you can have.
Oh,
in
okay,
one
okay, so, no, I
access.
see what you're saying. It's 2 conditions, okay, now I see.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
My question was why it was the number 60.
I would,
I know 30,
Yeah.
I know the reason for 30, but the 60, I need to go back, if it refers back to the NFPA code or what that
Is there a
specific
reason for
number
60
is.
being chosen? I mean, I think it's a good idea. I don't know if it's based on certain thing or not.
That'd be a question for Joe.
yeah.
Okay,
I can mark that down as something for him to give you reasons
I don't think
for.
that's in 13, in NFPA 13, but it's.
No, I don't believe it is, but
I think, from discussing it with him, I believe, and again, this is just what I believe from discussing, but again, I can't speak exactly for him, was he was trying to find a number that seemed reasonable.
Okay.
Mhm.
So just flag it, we need to come back.
And
to
for,
that one.
for interpretation, it can be changed. I think it was,
60, and do we even want to
I-
offer the option of having sprinklers
Oh,
at all? I mean, we've kind of
No.
discussed that before.
It's a,
I think it-
that's a building code piece.
We
We'd
also
have
put
a
in
tough time
sprinklers.
arguing that we'd completely abolish that, but.
If I can still, might suggest
Go for
to
it.
just change the number 2 instead of, say, when both of the following conditions are met, because it was confusing to me. If you just can add those 2 words. To like point 2, a secondary vehicular access point shall not be required when both of the following conditions are met. I mean,
When the following conditions are met, A and
You
B.
have to do-
I know, it just seemed confusing to me. Is it an or situation?
Well, no, it's an and.
There's no R in there, I
It's
don't
not,
think.
it's an and situation.
Oh, yeah, I
have to
see
do
the
both.
end here now, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Both
It's still
conditions
confusing.
When
yeah.
the following conditions are met.
A and B must be met, is what
Yeah,
that's
I
saying.
mean, yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Well, it's because the end is here. It's just.
I'm good until 909.
Yeah, I've got one for 09 also. I've got F.
Yeah, I'm good.
You got anything before that 9?
Um,
909?
90309, I've got,
You have 90309. No, I'm in 909.
okay, I'm at 90309 still. Any new, through street shall terminate in a cul-de-sac designed in accordance with the provisions of the Delaware County
I
Engineer and the
skipped
Genoa
over one.
Township Fire Department. In another place,
Which one are you in? 90309?
90309,
903.
Oh, this is F?
F, any non-through street shall terminate in a cul-de-sac designed in accordance with the provisions of the Delaware County Engineer and Genoa Township Fire Department.
Yep.
I know in other areas, we say unless it's a stub going to, potentially to another development. Like when they did the Vinmars, they put a couple streets that were stubbed because they figured they're probably going to build another subdivision next door. So they don't have to end in a cul-de-sac. Am I reading that correctly?
So, Paul, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
You can answer that one, because I don't have an answer for that one.
So where there is a property where the stub would lead into a future development, that's a stub.
Right.
Where it is a dedicated property, like we've got on, what did we just did one. And they said it had to have a stub, but there was actually a house sitting there, then this
Near
would be,
Aluminum,
that would be
yeah.
this, it would be a cul-de-sac for a turnaround.
Yeah.
Because there's really no, it's not an open lot, it's not a potential expansion. So where the county engineer is saying, hey, we need an extra piece, maybe that's what that's saying, even though there's a RR sitting right there or an SR sitting there. Put
Okay,
a
but what if
cul-de-sac
it's
in.
like in Vinmar where they, they put a stub in, but that wouldn't be in here.
You're talking about the third, the 4, 5,
We know
the
what,
last Vinmar, that's currently
I
being
think
built?
both of them you can connect, but when they were first
All
built,
three
there
of
was
them,
a
we had
stub.
a stub, yeah, we had a stub, but
Yeah.
then that went into another neighborhood because it was farmland.
But you didn't have to have a cul-de-sac there.
No,
Okay,
That was
but
before
this
this
says you
was-
have to have a cul-de-sac.
no. So if you have if it's a potential growth into something, the stub is fine. If it's something else is sitting there, like somebody's house, but the county said you have to have a stub, they said, this is now saying, build a cul-de-sac so you have a turnaround, basically.
Okay, I don't see all that other stuff about a house being on there and all that stuff. I'm done.
No, it's,
I'm just, that's what I'm just saying, I'm reading it, what it says, it has to have a cul-de-sac, and I'm thinking of, a few situations where it does
I
not.
mean, maybe you can just add if it's like a
non-commercial
potentially,
cul-de-sac
you can add,
I made a note for clarification. We'll,
All right, fine.
we'll look at it.
Clarify. I think I know
Probably,
what he's
it's
trying
just
to
so
do.
that they could, it's probably just so
They
they
can
can
turn
turn around.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we do have stubs, but I know like where I live, they were gonna put a cul-de-sac in because you have to. They make you put one in there because of the fire codes and all that jazz, which is typical. But
There,
are
there
certain
have
ar-
been times in the past, what is it, the neighborhood trustee Vaughn lives in, they had a stub street that ended, and then they had to come back later to put in a T because the fire people said, we can't turn around here. And so we need to have something there, and I think they prefer to have cul-de-sacs as opposed to the Ts.
For
Right.
fire emergency vehicle access, so they can turn around.
Okay.
Okay,
90403.
let me grab one real quick before.
got another one?
903, the old 90311, which is right above 90311. Where'd the trees go? Is that in here somewhere else? Did I miss where it was added in later?
The old,
Yeah, that's a good, I mean, probably later.
Right
but-
above landscaping?
it's gonna be in that article in 20.
Yeah, this-
I don't know.
We're not there yet. It's gonna be in Article 20.
Just make a note, and if you don't see it there.
Yeah,
We can
would you
correct
know,
Yeah,
Paul,
where
do you
did,
know why
where
they
did
took the-
90311 go?
the old one that says trees and then, has ABC? Usually when this happens, it's down somewhere else, or like you say, it says shall be done in accordance with Article 20 or 16 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's
He
all.
also
in-
took it out because it's
That's
not
all in
under
landscape.
landscaping.
Okay.
Another one?
Yes.
Okay.
And right below that in the landscaping,
Okay.
it's B, there's an A and a B there, but they crossed out the developer shall submit a conceptual landscaping plan to be reviewed as part of the development plan. And then it says each platted lot shall be seeded or sod in accordance with the approved development plan. Why'd they take out, I mean, I always think those conceptual landscape plans are pretty good. It seems like that's what they're going to do.
I'm pretty sure it's in Article 20.
I don't know.
We're gonna get to that.
Is that, so, because we don't get a landscape plan for each individual house. Our only requirement is that they seed or sod the lot for runoff water control. Is that what it's speaking to? Because you guys get an overall landscape plan for the entrances and things like that, but I think that's speaking towards an individual lot. And before it sounded like when they submit for a new build, we get a landscape plan. We don't get a landscape plan. We don't dictate how many shrubs or things that they plant around the perimeter of their house. I think our only requirement is, and so I think Joe's just correcting that to do what we're actually,
Okay, because we
looking
do
at
get
and
something
what
that
we're
shows the, 3 deciduous, 2 evergreens around the
That's like open
perimeter and all that
space.
stuff.
we
And a
don't get
PRD.
that on an individual lot. I think that's like, it says all yards, front, side, and rear shall be landscaped. I think that's speaking to an individual lot, because you guys will see a landscape plan for the entrance and,
Right.
if there's any landscaping in open spaces, or if they have to plant the buffers or whatever, you see all that. That's speaking to an individual lot. And what we look at for compliance is that the lot's seated or sod.
Okay, it does, in A, it says on any lot within the plan development. So, okay,
We're gonna get to 20.
Okay,
20 is
good.
the full, 20 is the full landscaping
yeah,
standard.
just so it refers
It's
to
all
that,
in,
too.
yes. And it refers back to it, so.
Okay.
Okay. 904. I've got a 90403.
Okay, my next is 905.
All right, so 90403, and we're talking about prohibitive vehicles and whatnot. Are we actually going to put this and codify it, or are we still relying on HOAs to make the determination of work trucks? And what is a work truck?
So
and-
we can have different rules than what the HOA has.
Yep.
We can say work trucks are fine. The HOA can say they're not. You park your work truck in your driveway, so your neighbor calls us, we say we can't do anything about it, call your HOA. They call the HOA can then fine the resident.
Right.
This would be saying the township-wide would not have an issue in planned residential districts of work trucks, but each development can make their own rules on whether or not they want the work trucks or not. It's possible that Highland Lakes doesn't care, but Walnut Grove does care.
But we talk about being owned, a vehicle owned by the owner, the individual.
Yes.
So a work truck would not be owned by the individual, it would be owned by the company.
Well, if somebody's job is Al's painting service and he parks his truck that has Al's painting service on his own private driveway, we're saying the township is okay with that.
Okay.
But it's possible that the developments can say, we're not okay with that, and they can make their own rules in their deed restrictions saying
I
you
also
can't
just
do
don't
that.
want to supersede the HOA ability to avoid that, to say no and say.
Yeah, we
we're
don't.
not superseding
It's
any HOA.
it's two separate sets of rules.
As long as we're not doing that, I'm fine.
That's pretty much just for somebody who brings home and it says Dave left construction on the side of his car and they can park it in their driveway, but they're not doing any actual business at that location.
Next, who's got another one?
Yeah, I've got 90501.
Okay.
It's way down after all the crossed out things. Dimensional requirements without conservation development standards. Let's see. 10,000 square foot or greater for detached dwelling situated on an individual lot. The building envelope of detached dwelling situated on land commonly owned by a condominium or other, let's see here, hold on a second. Owned by a condominium or other type shall be at least 60 feet wide and 120 feet deep. So the difference here, it says, it should be 10,000 square feet on any detached dwelling situated on its own individual lot, but this says the building envelope of detached dwellings situated on land commonly owned by a condominium. So there's the individual lot and the land owned by a condominium. It shall be 60 feet by 120. And we're,
You got
as I
two separate issues there, two
Right.
separate. So you got one's a lot
yes,
and one's a
Dimension.
condo where they have common space, so they only have a building envelope.
they have a building envelope. So do they still have to have a 10,000 foot lot though? Well, that's my
No,
point.
because they don't own a lot. It's all
Right. Well,
there.
that's why I
They only
think,
have that building envelope.
right,
In a
so,
condo, you don't own the property.
right. Okay, so let's see if there's a 20-foot, okay. I would suggest, so stick with me a sec, 84 by 120, so the same depth and make it wider, and that's 10,080 feet. So we're not allowing them to go to the higher density by doing 40% green space and then allowing them to tighten the houses together everywhere.
So there's no higher density in the condos. It's not a density thing. At the
Okay.
condos, it's not lots. It's areas that they're allowed to build. The condo property is the entire property as a whole.
Right,
Then they give us these squares and say, we're gonna put houses within these squares.
okay.
But the density doesn't
Can have
change
smaller-
based on that.
So their lots can be
The density is based on how big the lot is for the entire PRD.
Right, so they could have 7,200 square foot building envelopes,
Correct.
which are similar to a lot, but they still can only put so many within that acreage of the
Correct.
development.
Still can exceed the density.
The density is the same.
Correct.
Right. But, you know, some of the things that people come up with, and the houses are so close together.
That-
And, you know, there is, and I'll get to that on B, on that same one too, front and, okay, it's, for a lot, it's a 20 feet between dwellings, and for condominiums, it's 11 feet between residential building. I think that's been an issue with this, that, you know, everybody seems to think that houses they're getting them too close together.
The
So
people, the people that buy the condos don't feel that way.
That could be, that could be. I'd recommend that we change the 11 feet to 20 feet. Any thoughts?
I would not, probably would not go along with that one. I mean, you're talking about a product that somebody is doing and people will have.
Right.
the
It keeps the
ability to
same
buy.
density.
But wouldn't you be shrinking also the size that they could also build?
Mhm.
So you're driving down the size of the unit.
Well, you just put them 20 feet apart. You still have the same size. You still have a 60 by 120 building envelope, but there's 20 feet between the houses
So
instead
then
of.
now you have less square footage in the
But
house.
what I'm saying is,
There's
but
two
when
different
you shrink the
products.
amount of space they can build on, you're actually shrinking the floor plan of the size of the building
That's not-
potentially.
that's
That's why I
Because you're
wanted to have
driving
it
it in.
84 by 120, because then you'll get your 20 feet and you'll get your square footage you can build.
So they're just gonna be more spread out.
I mean, that depends
Not
on,
necessarily.
you know,
Well, it is because all of it is open space,
so, but
because there is no common yard, so.
if they're
even
going to build a 60 by 120, why not make them go with conservation and give 50% green space if they want to build them that small anyways? Why are we letting them build those at a higher density and give less? Because
density-
they're not giving any, I'm throwing this out here a little bit, I'm trying to be logical. In other words, it's the same thing as if you're building with conservation, the same size, but you're letting them build it to a higher density, so it's.
The density is the same. The only the difference
No.
is that they're,
Density
The
is
units together,
Pardon?
yeah,
if they're clustered together closer,
they're
the
closer. that's
density
what
is
it is.
still the same.
Yeah.
They don't get a higher density.
Well, you actually do give, for instance,
feeling.
1.25 if you're doing without conservation, 1.0 with conservation. So what I'm saying is, now you can do 1.25 and you can build the same product you could have built here, but now you get 0.25 higher density. So the whole idea, my thought is, if you're going to give, you know, let them have only 40%, is that you really have bigger lots. If they want to build with conservation and have their 60 by 120 foot lot, then use that and then have the 1.0 density instead of 1.25.
So you want condominiums only in when they use conservation standards, is that correct?
No, they can put them in the other one if they want to, but if they want to get them close together, you know, which comes up with how close should we allow those to be also.
So you just want the space in between units would be greater.
What about your real estate experience? People care? about how many feet are in between houses. My personal experience is people do. I know we're selling products and,
Right, it depends on the product, it depends on the type. But what I'm concerned about is if when you're squeezing this down,
Mhm.
because you're trying to grow the side lots, you don't want to condense, you don't want to restrict and condense how much can be built there when it's done.
But Sarah, you're not.
Maybe I'm not seeing it, maybe I'm not seeing it.
No, what you're saying is correct.
Yeah, I'm like,
Why would it
I'm not,
squeeze-
I'm
why
not,
would it
I'm not,
squeeze it
then
down?
that's what I'm saying, I'm not seeing,
I mean, the
He
whole.
wants the building envelope to be larger.
but
so
that could
they
drive
can
down,
have-
but that could drive down the product size of what's being built.
how's that? If the
It
building
would
envelope
gonna
bigger?
make fewer units in there.
I don't think he
No,
wants the
well-
building envelope to be bigger. I think he wants the distance between the different units to be like, and now it's 11 feet in between. He wants it bigger.
You're both saying sort of the same thing. You've got a 60-foot wide lot,
Right,
okay?
60 by
You're now saying you want to go bigger lot, and then you have the same size house and you have increased space. What we're saying, what Sarah's saying is 60-foot side lot, now you want bigger space, now the envelope of the building has to be shrunk, which now is less square
If you've
footage.
got a 60-foot
Okay.
lot
So
and you're
60
pulling
foot-
20 in on
So
each
you have
side,
to
you've only
change
got,
everything lot, I'm saying building envelope.
Okay, but not
Same-
the
same-
same thing.
same
Now you're
theory.
saying it's a smaller building.
same theory.
So you're limiting the overall square footage of the living space.
By making it
by,
wider.
by making the space greater between the structures.
But they don't own it.
He wants to
Now
make
you
the
want-
building.
But that's the next
building
part, so you
envelope
want us to
wider.
change the lot
Yeah.
size.
One of the great things, in my opinion, about having without conservation, 10,000 square foot lot, and that's kind of what we've always thought, but it's really, there are the options to put the condos in there also, only have 40%, and we're allowing them to have a higher density to boot. So I think, you know, you can build the same house, just build them a little farther apart, and the whole thing is, you know, if the 10,000 square feet, the reason you only have to 40% is because you're making bigger lots, so, you know, and which is, so then you can, so you only have 40%, where if you let them have them small, then you can have 50% green space and they have the same density. But if we're gonna let them have a density improvement by going without conservation, then should we be letting them build in that same product?
And the density is not changing, okay? It's just the closeness of the units that's changing. That's the only thing that's changing.
The density's not
We're
changing.
talking about the building envelope, which is the house, okay?
Yeah.
So if you
Right.
move that same house, the unit is not gonna get smaller, okay? Because the space in between the houses is still common space. So the common space is just gonna be moved in between the houses. They're gonna have a bigger side yard, which is a common side yard. That's the only difference. But it's not gonna be any
So
different.
You're
we've
making
already,
a
we've
different
already
assumption
restricted,
than I am.
the issue is we've already, we've restricted in the buffers already enough. We've said a density, we've said buffers, we've said all these other things. Now you want to increase the space between the homes, which will artificially deflate the amount of available building units on a property. Because
Correct.
now
I mean,
we have,
the-
now we
No, I
have
mean-
a
Fact.
property, we have a lot, we have buffers, and now you're saying that you can put this amount in here. Now you're saying, now you gotta space them out even further, which is gonna greatly, more even restrict what the density is.
Well, if they went with 10,000
what
square
you're-
foot
We're-
lots.
No, I mean,
And what your point is, you're saying the density isn't changing. Well, then the size of the unit's gonna change.
You're making them change.
Because you're making them change it, because if
I
you're,
understand that.
if you're eating into the building envelope,
But we
then you're
already-
driving down the size of the units.
Now we're gonna make some more units so we can have bigger.
No,
spaces.
I'm not, I don't want the
That's
building
fine.
unit to go down. I don't want the envelope to go down.
The,
That-
But that's what just happened.
That's what's happening.
but we're giving, and instead of 50% green space, it's 40, so the builder gets 10% more with the theory that now you're building, like, why do we have 10,000 square foot lots in here for builders to use? And then we have 7,200 square foot lots, is my point. Because if they want to build the 7,200 square foot building envelope, whatever they want to call it, then why don't they why do we have it in two and in, without conservation and with conservation? Why would we let somebody go into this one without conservation and build the same thing there, but now they can get more in, and we actually give them 0.25 density more?
Because they're giving us more open space.
Pardon?
Because they're giving us more open space.
And with conservation, yes, no, well, we require 50%, but without conservation, we require 40, so why are we letting them build these little ones in there and letting them build more?
They're not
They,
building
they
more.
still need
But
40%.
they're not building more.
Less density.
It's the
They're not
same.
building more.
They don't need as many.
It's closer.
They get less units.
There's plenty of room in there to do that. Because, well, okay, what you're allowed to do with conservation is a 70 by 120, or 60 by 120. And there's 50% green space, but here you're gonna have 40% green space. So you have 60% of the property to build this on. And the whole idea is that without conservation, you're building a little bit bigger lot and not giving up so much green space.
I'm a little confused now.
Let's come back to.
We need to come back to that.
We'll come back to it, but I just,
That's-
well, I'll try to draw a diagram or something. Yeah, it's about consistency of the whole thing.
What point was that?
Next.
I wrote down something on 906, but I'm trying to remember what now. Good with that? 906, 907?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm on, sorry, 90502C.
Going backwards.
Yep. Dimensional requirements with conservation development standards. Minimum yard setback requirements, residential, none. There are no setback, minimum residential setbacks.
Well, except for multifamily.
Yeah, unless you have, multifamily or something like that. So another thing is, so how close are they allowed to build? We have no number in there at all. It says none. Now, we say 11 foot on the one before if it's a 60 by 120. Most people, my feeling is it's more like you need 20 feet in between.
The reason there's no they took the separation out is because now they're doing conservation development standards, and for that extra 10% of green space, we're saying you can set your own limits between buildings.
Submitted by
You
the
may have,
fire.
you may have just proved my point in
It's-
in A.
It's the
exactly
way
what I
of,
said.
it's the
Thank
way
you.
of saying, thank you for this extra green space. Now you're allowed to have your buildings closer together if you'd like them.
Right, but then why are we allowing that in without conservation standards is my point. But what is the fire department's requirement? Houses,
That's a
how-
question for the fire department.
Well, I know, but you guys work with them a lot and
I
we
don't-
do lots of
I don't know.
PRDs.
I don't read the fire code.
Yeah, because we have 11 feet in between, without conservation, that says 11 feet on this type of product.
Mhm.
So
And-
I
and-
would
Yeah, and
recommend we
if they
put
use
some-
conservation development standards, then they can be 10 feet apart from each other if they want to be.
I'm sorry?
If they use conservation development standards, then they can lower that to 10 feet if they want, or 9 feet if they would like.
Okay. and
As
that's
a,
what the-
as a
yes.
thank you for
But
giving
what
us
is
the
it?
extra open
What
space.
is, can they put them within 6 inches of each other? Why not? It says none.
That would be up to the developer. Now, the developer can always ask for something. That doesn't mean it's always going to be approved that way. They could say, yes, we want them 6 inches apart, and then the fire marshal would come back and say, no, we're not going to allow the buildings to be 6 inches apart.
So would you make a note on there to ask the fire marshal what the required is between houses?
We can.
Okay. And I just think, when you look at some of the one down on Maxtown near the church down there, I don't know how close those are together, but that's pretty darn close. So,
Where at?
But you also are referring to Article 16, and so we need to go back to that.
16?
Yes. Because it says, it's,
Okay, what does it say?
At the end,
what
right?
is it?
Well, but that's for architectural
Yeah.
projections, accessory buildings, and accessory structures,
Structures.
not the
Yeah.
primary. I
We
would,
have gargoyles or something you can project into there. My point is, it says none, and.
Because they're multifamily dwellings.
No, 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 no,
Oh, it's
no, no, no,
excluding
no.
multifamily.
That's excluding.
Yeah, but if we say none, and what, Paul just said, well, developer can come in, and then he'll do
Yeah,
something,
it still has to be approved at whatever they request.
but I would like it to be that the developer can look into our code and say they have to be this far apart, so we don't get into a discussion about how far apart they need to be. You know, in other words,
We set that in the non-conservation development standards. We do set a space. If they give us the extra open space, then we say, you can submit what you would like to submit. But it still has to be approved by other agencies. They're not gonna be able to do anything, like slip anything under the rug that we're not gonna see because somebody's gonna review it. Somebody's gonna look at it and they're gonna flag it and say, no, you can't make them that close.
So instead of making this none, which I agree with Mr. Carter, there needs to be some guardrail there. Why not put residential excluding multifamily dwellings subject to review by the zoning commission or something to that effect
Well,
so that,
It's always subject to review by the zoning commission.
well, but
Oh, scroll down a little bit.
Scroll
The
down,
next,
that's height limits, and then it moves on. And it's private street setbacks.
what's it say? Because there's always been a separation, but like the one, like this house could be really close to the lot line, but the other house had to be farther away from its lot line because there was still a minimum separation. And I mean, that's not, I'm like looking for that because it's not crossed out.
Developer can put a number in there. We're not saying they have to be wall to wall. The developer can put 5 feet in there if they want to
But it's
put
like
5
to
feet
I
in
me-
don't
there. They
think
can
that's
put
what
8
it's
feet in
saying.
there.
I don't think it's
So-
saying they can be wall to wall. That's not what it's saying.
well, it should say a distance, because when it comes in front of the zoning commission, the developer, we should have a number and we should know it. Actually, the developer should be allowed to read our document and say, before he even builds his plan, you know, because he doesn't need to come in here and we're like, oh, you can't do that. And well, in your plan, it says none. I think we need a number. And
Wait,
I would,
we can-
you know,
all right,
I
we
would
can-
suggest 20, but if
We
we
will,
want to
we
find
will,
out
we
what the fire
will
department
pin that one and
requests,
we can discuss if it needs a number.
Yeah, I think
Pardon?
it's there. It's just not.
I don't, well, if you could find it for me, I'd be happy. I didn't find it.
Because it's not something he just took out, right?
No, but it's, I mean, it
Wait for it.
specifically says none.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward there.
It's been that way since the last time we reviewed Article 9 this summer.
I think we should too.
But I think that's setback
Pardon?
off the property line.
That's what I was gonna say, we flag this.
I'm sorry.
Flag
Flag
this
it.
to
Flag
get
it,
more.
sure.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put it
let's
in-
flag it, but
I made a note.
understand my point, it's like we should have a
I think-
number that
I
we-
think it's a-
It's the same as what it was before, so.
Yeah, oh, it is the
No, I
same,
think
it's
it
been
should
that
be
way
written there.
forever,
No,
and it
you're,
shouldn't be.
you're point on.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody should be able to read it and have knowledge.
Sam, right?
I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay. I don't have, I've got 909 as my next one.
It's my next one.
Anybody else before 909?
I got 909.
It's offsite common space. They really changed the numbers around. It used to be 912.
I'm at 909. Go ahead.
I don't know how, kind of a conversation we had before, but offsite common open space, the one thing we got was the quote swampland on the other side over by Fleur Road for when we did the Vinmars and the swap of densities along with a couple other subdivisions. And I don't know why that's in there anymore, because I wouldn't want somebody to come in and come up with this idea about swapping unless you guys think that we should have it in there in case it would be good someday to be able to. But my point would be is like, let's take Mira Luna, and Romanelli says, well, here, I got 100 acres over here, I'm gonna give you guys. And so I can now develop 200 acre, 200, and so we'd end up having 4.4 density there, and the neighbors would be insane, the traffic would be crazy, it'd be block-to-block houses. And that's why I think we should take it out, because I don't think it's a good thing at all. Because in Vinmars, which are a very nice subdivision now, had to break the rules. I know you live there. Yeah, I know you heard me say
Hang on
very
a
nice.
second.
Yeah, but,
What did you just say?
well, but they traded densities off for a couple of New
Yes.
England acres and a
Yep.
couple other and all that stuff. But, you know, it's, I think its usage is past. And I think we could get something where a developer could come in with some cockeyed plan, and it's like, you know, it depends on the situation. But I would say, let's take 909 out altogether.
I mean, I find it always weird to be fair, but, I mean, or it needs to be very specific that it needs to be, there needs to be a closeness to the project defined in it, because it's like, it just says suitably located. What does that mean?
Okay.
I would agree with taking it out.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
Guess what? I think it should go away too.
Holy mackerel.
It's been in there forever and
I know.
ever and
Ask your
ever and
question again,
ever,
Mr. Carter.
so.
Wait, did you say
Sorry,
what?
David, what'd you say? Did you say?
That's what he just said to me.
I don't know. Thought we were removing. Why is it here? It was written before. I thought it was going away, but, so that's a question for Mr. Schaefer for us to have a conversation on. All right. I'm done with 9. I'm good all the way until 12.
9/12/02 is my next one.
9/12?
9/12/02.
9/12? Yeah, I'm 9/12, okay? 9/12 what?
02.
02.
And it's about the new process, the one-step process, which sounds good, but I was just curious where'd that come from, because I noticed it's added a lot of places.
I think that was more just to help developers that did not like having the two-step process, that they'd rather just go ahead and do the final development plan with rezoning and making that as an option.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, because
fine with the code.
if the developers come in with it all set and all ready and everything ready to go, then we
Yeah.
could make it faster for them.
I think that's the reasoning behind it.
Okay, that's all I had.
Can we put some time frame constraints around that so that? Because normally they've got, what, 3 years from,
Once development plan's approved, they have 3 years to start moving dirt.
but isn't there, what's the time frame when a preliminary plan's approved versus coming back for the final? Is there a maximum?
I don't have an answer for that.
I don't know.
The preliminary is just, it's aspirational, it's not
Yeah.
really, you don't,
I mean, once the rezoning's done, the rezoning's permanent. So you can't change the rezoning unless you rezone it back again.
Right.
But the development, but again, preliminary development plans are also just preliminary. They could come back with a totally different plan, final development plan, if they wanted to.
But I mean.
But then it'd
it's-
still have to go through the approval process.
So if we approved a final development plan, if we did this expedited process, is there a time frame when they have to develop?
They have to start moving dirt within 3 years.
Or they have to ask for an extension.
Or, yeah, or
That might
ask for
be
extension.
easier.
I think, yeah, we'll
Disregard.
try to put parameters on that later, too.
All right. Next.
11, in 11 or?
Still in 9,
Still
9 something, right? Any more 9s?
Nope.
Good. 10's reserved. We're into 11.
I've got 110403.
11.
It's a typo. It says, all premises including pedestrian ways shall be furnished with all weathered. Hard surfaces should be all weather, I believe, not all weathered. Unless you want it to have the weathered look. See what I'm talking about, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And right down there below, it says materials such as bituminous. I asked Siri 5 times what that was. I finally had to look it up, but it's basically blacktop. I guess people who would be doing this would know what it is, but do we want to switch blacktop for bituminous? Or is bituminous
Leave
kind
that
of a
word
general
bracket
category?
or brackets,
Okay.
if you-
Yeah, okay. We'll leave bituminous.
Okay, any more 11?
I got 110413C.
110413C.
There's somewhere where it says country, and it probably needs to say contrary. Actually, I just realized that C is gone there. There's no C. That's,
Further down.
oh, it's further
Next
down.
page, next page.
Next page.
It does say contra some places.
Yeah,
Is it
it's-
supposed to say contra or
contrary.
contrary?
It says country.
Yeah,
Everything
country
country?
instead of contrary.
Contrary, there we go, good catch.
Yeah.
You got it, Paul?
Right in C, where it says, shall be permitted country to prohibitions.
Yes.
Contrary.
Second line in C.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any more on 11?
Well, I actually, one thing, because I was looking here at the wrong place here, at 11:04:04, there is no C, there's just a D.
11:04.
11:04.
04.
404.
There's A, B, and then it goes to D, no C.
Yep.
Yep.
I thought I found a couple preposition issues, but not having my notes really a little helpless, and I sat and did the whole thing too.
Well, take a snapshot.
What-
I know.
Submit it.
I know, I should have scanned my own thing to
You
me.
could
and then
send
I'm
it
Once-
to us.
Like decided upon and we're
Correct.
getting a draft ready for
Yeah.
initiation, that's when I'll go through and I try to clean up all of Joe's, hanging prepositions and all the other things he puts in there.
All right, next. Any more 11?
I don't know any more than 11.
Sebastian? 12.
I've got 120302.
302. Okay,
It's about developments in groups having common parking areas. Anyways, planned commercial districts of 20 more acres in area shall have direct access to one arterial street and one collector street, or 2 access points on an arterial street. And what we added on the PRD, I believe, was a distance in between the exits. Remember, because Big Walnut tried to put 2 really next to each other. I think it's 60 feet or 65 feet, Paul?
600 feet.
600.
Joe
That
ahead,
one is
Joe ahead,
600.
600.
600, yeah, 600.
You want to maybe add the distance in that one also?
Added
Yeah.
distance.
302B.
Okay,
Okay.
many more on 12?
Again, trees and landscaping went away, but I guess they're going to show up in Article 20.
Your homework for the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, any more 12s?
120603 is the same thing about weathered instead of, it should be weather instead of weathered. 120603.
Yep. First sentence in 120603. Okay. Next.
Nothing else on 12.
Nothing else in 12? All right, 13. I've got a 1306, but anybody got anything before that?
I think so.
All right, 130618.
Get there eventually. 506. All right, yes.
Okay.
The use of incombustible needs to be changed to non-combustible.
All righty.
Which one was that on? 130618, you said?
130618.
A, B, or C?
Where did it go?
Third line.
Third
Okay.
line in A.
Oh, incombustible. right, gotcha.
Incombustible
Okay.
exterior walls, it should be non-combustible. And if we have any reference to that, we need to find it elsewhere. We can't do a search on this one. And I'm done with 13. Anybody else? 14? All right, my first question is 140501. If I can get to it. This is really hard on a phone. Let's see. And then, lower in the second page.
I'll read this for students of extras.
Paul?
Yes, I know, I'm reading it
Oh.
at the top so I understand where to go from the next part, because it builds on itself, so I just want to know. All right, yes.
So in the big section, building front,
Mm-hmm,
and then we have 100 feet on, from existing streets.
yep.
What are we defining that streets? Is it from the curb? Is it from the lot line? Is it from what?
Usually from right-of-way line.
Okay. So do we say street, or do we need to say it as right-of-way line?
I will mark that as a question.
Because some of the other places say right away or the closest
Front
ed,
lot line. and
something like
is-
that, yeah. But there is that terminology
There's
in
a
there some for other
dedicated
stuff, yeah.
demarcation line. Street seems
Too
subjective.
big, yeah.
And we used to refer to center line of street, which made sense, but we
Right.
took that out a couple versions ago, so.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? 14. Fifteen?
I just have confusing, explain, please.
150304. Lot width.
Yeah, hold on, I'll get there in just a sec.
It's the same thing as the 60 feet to 85 feet.
So should we add at least in front of 100 then also?
We can put that on there.
Okay.
Okay.
I think there's only one place this could apply. That empty lot on Maxtown.
There's the one next to Harris.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a flag lot.
No,
Well,
no,
it is
no,
a flag
I
lot.
think that's developed now. They went to the BZA for that, I think.
Oh, did they?
It's
They
for,
did?
it's gonna be, what is it called, like storage center?
Oh,
I think.
that's right. You're right.
Because it was not planned, so it didn't have to come here.
Someone's from Walmart.
Yeah, that'd been fun.
Like 20 years ago when I worked here.
They do have like an empty lot now behind it, yeah.
Okay.
Landlocked lot.
I never heard that.
Yes.
There
Was
was?
it That's what I thought.
I never heard that.
Yep.
Really?
Old school.
I don't think it was quite that many years ago, but it's a long time.
I have a question about 150201, permitted principal uses. And the first one's a really long one. And I wondered, is that actually in the tape, 150201? It says manufacturing, compounding, blah, blah, blah. There's, you can't use elastomers, feathers, felt, fiber, fur, glass, hair, blah, blah, blah. Is that in the tables?
That's all broken down in the table.
And the table's broken down by
Yes, correct.
feathers and
Yes.
all that stuff?
Correct. We also got rid of,
never
we also
know.
tried to get rid of the feathers stuff because that was kind of,
Feather boas, you know.
we had
I don't know.
questions about that. We weren't sure when we got to that why it was even in there when somebody asked about it.
Yeah, okay.
No use of animals.
1504, we talk a lot about different prohibited activities.
1504.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things on there that are prohibitive, so pretty much it's various areas. I was just wanting to consider like we talk about noise, we talk about fumes, but we don't talk about if somebody was doing welding or a lighting company making strobes or anything like that, if they were near residences. So I'd like to have some thoughts around that.
I'll put a pin in it.
Put a pin in it. That one's gonna require a little more investigation with the question to,
We had to
Some
deal
other
with that a
people.
few years ago.
Yeah.
We did. We did have to deal with that a few years ago.
basically just making sure things are fully contained. I don't mind having this stuff, I just don't want it bleeding into other people. All right, anything after 15?
I'm good.
Or through 15? Nothing, really? Oh, no, we're only through 15.
I mean, we did tonight's work. I thought we're gonna, well, I was thinking we'd do some at the special meeting or something, but it looks like we got to 15.
All right, so 16, 17, yeah, we need to get through. You got through 19? No, we gotta go further than that. 20. Gives us 1, 2, 3,
That's quite a bit, man.
4, no, we gotta do this. 16,
19.
Let's go through 20,
So,
the next meeting?
I mean, that's like three times as much as was this one.
That's 3 times as much?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, really?
Was
It's
that
really
French?
big. 18 signs, it's just got a lot to it.
There's a lot, yeah.
I don't know how many changes he made in signs, but I know 18's
I mean,
big.
those are usually,
Well, I know, but I mean, you have to go through it. That's the thing.
right.
So it gives us 1, 2, 3. So through 20, 16 through 20.
16 to
Cool.
20.
All right.
That's the next regular meeting, correct?
Yes, not,
Or special meeting?
not the special meeting. The next special meeting, we're here, we're in and out, and hopefully quickly. Thank you, everybody, for the work on that. All right, so now we've got. Susan, is there anything else? Paul, anything else we need to discuss?
Just remember the next regular meeting is on Tuesday, not on Monday because of the eclipse.
Okay.
I think I noted on the schedule, but the
Yeah,
next
we'll get
meeting.
to that in here in a second. Any general public comment? Rick, just make sure you turn that on, please.
Yeah, Rick Whelan again, 9500 Britton Woods Drive. We need to go back to section 8 that you guys talked about tonight. In there, and I don't have my zoning book in front of me, and in fact, the zoning stuff I'm pulling up online doesn't match what I got here, so I'll have to get this stuff the next time, I apologize. But it'd be nice if it was available for some people to have when we come to the meetings, but we don't
Well, we
have.
haven't initiated it. This is
I
just, this is
understand.
just a working session, so the work, we can't put a copy like that out.
Let's look at 806 then. Because I think in the last zoning recently, we raised the size of that lot from 20,000 square feet to 30,000.
Yes.
But you guys didn't touch any of the sizes of it. So I want you to go back and consider taking a percentage of that, since you increased the lot size by 50%. Let's do something with the road, the frontage of the lot and the distance of the lot back, instead of keeping it the same frontage that it is and just having the builder build it 352 feet back instead of 235. If you guys had a board in here sometimes that come in handy, we could do a little chalkboard analysis on this building stuff, which I think Jim would appreciate. He has a lot of questions on that. And I could draw him a lot of pictures for that stuff to show him. But I think you guys need to consider this, and if, you know, and sometimes I'd like to see if it'd be like, if you guys work outside of this area here as far as any type of stuff with any residents, as far as an extra commission on some of this stuff, then we could present some of these drawings and stuff for you guys to bring back and show you ahead of times and stuff, instead of just throwing it right here in front of you and stuff. But I think you have to consider something in there, and I would suggest 100 feet for a frontage and 300 feet back, if you guys want to consider something like
It
that.
says, minimum lot frontage 85 feet. But it
That's
does
what
say-
that's what it was even for the 20,000
But it
square
says
foot lot.
minimum.
I
minimum.
understand that,
Yeah, okay.
right.
That's lot frontage, that's not setback.
Exactly, exactly. But what you're doing, all you're doing is having a developer, he's gonna keep it the same if he can to squeeze in as much stuff as he can. See what I'm saying? You're trying to get bigger lots in that district, 30,000 square feet versus 20,000. So you almost need to take that same percentage somehow and encroach it on that frontage and then reduce it on, you're still gonna pick up more on the distance back. Right now, it's at 235 feet. This is the distance back if you build it 85 feet across the front.
On a 30,000?
That's for the $20,000.
Oh, okay.
For the 30,000 lot, if you're at 85 feet, you're 350 feet back, which is 117 feet extra of backyard space. For what? See what I'm saying?
So you're saying we should make it, even though it says minimum, you're saying we should make it wider because that'll prevent it from making these great big, long, skinny lots?
Exactly. Yeah, you should increase it percentage-wise, proportion-wise, for what you did for the 20,000 square feet to the 30,000. Do the same thing percentage-wise to the frontages. Something to consider on that stuff, so.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and then once you get into that, you get into 80602, which will be corner lots also, so you'd have to address those with that same type of percentage stuff, possibly going to 100 feet instead of 85 feet on the corner lots. I don't think we should miss that type of stuff, and I'd also like to look at the minimum side yard setbacks on some of those zoning areas and stuff too. I mean, that one's set at 12 feet there. And even in our residential, rural residential, I think they lowered that over the last couple years. It used to be 15 feet for accessory buildings
From the lot line, right.
from the lot line.
Yeah.
Right, and they lowered it to 10 feet for accessory buildings now. Which,
For an
when,
accessory.
yeah, for accessory buildings.
Yeah, but we didn't lower, I don't
25
think
for
we
a
lowered it. We didn't lower it, it's been that way.
Well, you tightened it up.
Used to
see.
be 15
Used to be
feet, now
15.
it's 10.
Yeah,
For an accessory building.
yeah, I'm sorry, that's jumping ahead to section 16. We'll catch that next time or whatever. And then to some of Jim's points too, back on that 909 section, you were talking about with the condos and stuff. I was just playing around with some stuff and I think you guys still need to revisit some of that stuff too. I think your idea comes into play there as far as those distances between houses and stuff. I get into building stuff, and I've been trying to get the same notes and stuff from these guys as far as fire code stuff. And I'll tell you what, Delaware County is way behind the times on fire code stuff. Even our fire department here is behind on it. I deal with Arlington and Bexley and those areas, and they're right on top of fire code stuff. And we can't build anything within 10 feet of each other in the city of Arlington, as far as fire code wise. So I don't know what it is up here, and I don't know if
Between buildings?
between buildings. And if you get closer than that, same with accessory buildings, you have to start using dense glass or some type of a fire retardant material to get a variance to build it closer to that. So there's ways to do it, but they usually have, if you're building standard construction, you usually need to stay 10 feet type of stuff, minimum type of stuff for fire code. And I think it's up to local jurisdictions and stuff even to classify that stuff. It's hard to even get some numbers from the state of Ohio guys on those issues. But it is a concern, and it's been a concern with some of our BZA guys, because they're letting people build these things 2 and 3 feet away from the existing building, you know, as far as accessory buildings and stuff. And they're not taking that into consideration at all when they're doing their stuff, so. And the other record thing that I was gonna bring up a little bit is I've been to a couple BZA meetings, and I got some notes on some of their stuff that they've done, and we're ending up with a lot of variances here on front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, garages, encroachments on lot sizes and stuff. And they seem to be going by a 25% forgiveness rule on a lot of stuff that they use in their head, thinking that if I come in and have a variance, they're going to grant me up to a 25% over top of, you know, what the norm is in our zoning code. And our zoning code is set up for minimum stuff. It's not, you know, it's all minimum stuff. So we need to have a discussion if they're gonna keep doing this and stuff to us. I'm driving around our township now and I'm starting to see buildings, being approved, they're sitting out in front yard setbacks. It takes away from driving down the street type of stuff. All of a sudden, you're driving down a nice corridor and then you see a building that's out in front of everybody else's houses. It looks out of place. And it's not one, I can count 6 or 7 of them, just that they approved recently. Not even the stuff that other, boards have done in the past and stuff that we really can't do too much about, but we can do stuff in the future on stuff. So we need to have the talk with, between the zoning and these guys. If they were gonna do that, I suggest that we start going rural residential to 2.5 acre lots instead of 2 acre lots. If they're gonna start giving variances for everybody, it's still gonna get you down to a 2 acre minimum at that point. So just something to bring up, but if you go back and look, and I've got the copies, I might bring them next time, there were about 40 variances over the last 3 or 4 years. And out of that, 1 was denied. Everything else is getting approved, rubber stamped, and they're not even coming up with any changes for the people. They're just approving what everybody wants. So anybody comes in with a variance gets it, especially on these areas as far as the lot coverage, so. As far as the other stuff you guys talked about tonight, that was the biggest stuff on 8 and 9. And then, yeah, we'll check back as far as I'm really concerned with section 16. I think that needs a lot of work as far as the garage heights and stuff. So hopefully I can get back to that meeting, but I'll try and prepare some more paperwork and stuff on that stuff, because that's a lot of stuff for us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Next meeting, April 9th, Tuesday, again, for the April 8th eclipse, we will not be having anything on the 8th. And then we do have scheduled the 15th site walk if there is a request, which that date has not come up yet. We got one more thing before we go. Huh? Oh, yeah, and we will be here on the 27th.
Joe sent us reminders too. Those are always welcome.
We'll be here on the 27th at 7 PM for a special meeting.
Are we gonna address any of things with Joe also from, I don't know, if the notes that he makes about our, the resolutions or on that
So
day?
he did send out a new packet that had the notes from the last meeting in it. So I can't speak on whether or not he's going to send that out. I would assume that he would. You are always free to call or set up a meeting with them, and you can sit down with them one-on-one and discuss things with them too, so.
Well, I'm also just talking about our special meeting. Are we solely gonna do the Gianmarco, or are we also gonna talk
for
somewhat
that?
about?
We're gonna do Gianmarco's. If he has questions and clarification after he gets to listen to our wonderful audio, and we want to clarify anything, then I think that's fine.
Okay.
I would not come prepared with any new
Oh, yeah, no.
items.
Okay.
You will have 2 meetings or 2 hearings at least on the next meeting, because you get the Northgate again,
Yep.
if it finalizes. And then we have another one for development plan amendment on Frost Road.
On
Ju-
what?
On Frost Road. I have copies for you, so you can take them home before you leave.
Well, I was gonna say it's your final meeting, but it's not your final meeting, because you're gonna be here.
Right.
next week.
One more.
Added one more.
So, what do you want? You want it now, or you
Nah,
want it?
we're good.
You want it
No,
on
I'm
the
done.
27th?
I'm good, I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Kurt, are you gonna be here on the 27th? You'll be here? All right, well then we'll wait till the 27th, so. All right, anything else?
Mr. Chair, I would move to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Good, meeting over, 9:49.